We're with the man of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jackson Strong.
I got blown 50 foot away on the ground and I was bleeding out. Looks like that. I lost 90% of my thigh. I was pulling shrapnel out for 5 years later.
Really?
Policeman came up and saw me like sitting in the front of the car and I was screaming at him. I was saying, "Give me a f***ing belt." Because I was bleeding out. I was like, "Give me a f***ing belt."
Best Trick's kind of always been that.
Best Trick's always like that. You're rolling a dice when you get there, and I'm not scared to put everything on the table and risk it. I've been on YZ250 forever. Here in a two-stroke go off the ramp, you look sideways and all you see is just a heap of boobs, and you're never going to see that with an electric bike. I told someone to ask him if I could be on the militia, and email back, and the subject line was Army, and then he said, "This is the general, do you want to join the Army?" Especially coming to X Games, every year when you turn up, you're like, you can't help but think on the plane, am I going to be on my flight on the way home? Am I going to be stuck in hospital? What's going to happen? It's just so much unknowing. You just got to let go of everything, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
This episode is brought to you by Yamaha and the all-new 2024 YZ250F. It's no secret that I've been a big fan of this 250F.
Where would you go right now if you want to win a lights championship?
Star Yamaha. And in 2024, Yamaha has migrated their latest chassis platform to the quarter-litre King. With the new chassis designed to give you flex in the right areas that allow for maximum feel through the turns without sacrificing stability. There's also an all-new Ergos package designed at slimming down the bike and updates to the rider triangle to improve rider comfort. The Yamaha still has that same exciting engine package that has become a modern icon in the 250 class, rocketing Star Racing to the lion's share of the last decade's titles. Combine this with Yamaha's Bluetooth connectivity for easy mapping and engine monitoring, and you have one of the best production 250s on the market today. To learn more, head to YamahaMotorsports.com or click the link in the description below. We're with the man of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jackson Strong, and we've been talking about doing this podcast since probably the day I started it.
Yeah, I know. I've been meaning to get on, but just the stars haven't aligned, and it's crazy that we're both from Australia and we end up crossing paths right before we go home in the US. So it's pretty sick.
Yeah, so you're out today, whirlwind trip. You just decided to fly in, get an X Games gold with a trick that's never been done, and then f*** off back home. It's pretty solid plan, really.
Yeah, it's solid. I normally hang around and have a little bit of a holiday after, but the my missus' father passed away about a month ago now, so got to get back home and do the family thing for a little while, look after her, and yeah, it's a good trip though. It's been definitely a whirlwind. It was when you come into these things, especially coming to X Games every year, when you turn up, you're like, you can't help but think on the plane, am I going to be on my flight on the way home? Am I going to be stuck in hospital? What's going to happen? It's just so much unknowing. You just got to let go of everything and just let life do its thing, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean, the discipline that you're in too with Best Trick, it's just, that's one of the gnarly ones, you know, like you got, I think quarters gnarly as well.
Yeah.
We Berriman crash in practice, but I think that's one of the ones where you're looking like, oh boy, are they going to is this going to be okay? And
Yeah.
Best Trick's kind of always been that. Where
Best
it's like,
Trick's always like that. You're rolling a dice when you get there, and I've done a lot of silly things in my life, and I'm not scared to put everything on the table and risk it. Like base jumping's one that you look at and you're like, every jump can be last, and I've hung out with all those guys, and when I went to get into that, it's like I just feel so at home, like feel quite normal in a high pressure situation. But back to quarter, it's gnarly, and I get scared watching that. It's because it's so new. I think new as well. We haven't seen any bad crashes there, and I don't want to see one, but it's like if you keep doing something if you play silly games, you get silly prizes. And unfortunately in quarter one day, there's going to be a silly prize with a hard hit. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it's something that stays on two wheels. But it does scare the shit out of me, that does.
what can you see in that you think could be improved? Because, I mean, it's a hard one, eh? Like, especially for an X Games type scenario where it's like the dirt goes in and it goes out and you got to rant. Like, it's in a car park. You know?
Yeah, I don't know, there's too much you can do. I think like a bigger landing, and obviously having, like we saw Navis on the weekend, when he went up, he came back down so tight to the
Yeah.
quarter, whereas he only had like a couple foot. If you went down back in that hole, you're fucked. Like you can only fall from 50 foot from that height and have a chance of survival. Like it's
concrete.
it's
and
concrete and dirt.
that is
like
formed to
obviously,
concrete.
yeah. I guess you've just got to make sure the wider the landing is, the bigger the tranny is. Maybe something a little more on top of the tranny, a little more rolled over the top, because that's what I see bad. If you came down and you got sketchy and you had to jump, and if you jump backwards a bit and you fell down between the quarter and the landing, because you don't have to push off your bike that far when you're at that height to end up in a completely different place. So
Yeah.
something to make it safer for bailing maybe could help. Like if you jumped off and you got caught on the knuckle on that thing, it's a sharp edge and you're gonna be pretty smoked. If you jumped out flats, you're obviously fucked, so you don't want to do that. And the gap between the landing and the quarter, I just think moving forwards, if they can try and make those positions safer, maybe if the deck rather than being a knuckle on the thing rolled up further. But I don't know. I haven't rode quarter either, so I don't know what it's like when you're up there. Like maybe you can see if you had to bail, maybe they've got it good in their head. They know where to go.
Yeah, I mean, from being there the other day, a lot of the guys basically are saying, like, you kind of don't know where you're going to land.
Yeah.
Like, it's all in the takeoff, and once you've left, you've left.
You've left and you're on for the ride. So
And that's scary.
That's scary, yeah. And again, you're riding dirt bikes. It's a mechanical machine, and things fuck up. They do, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like how you can have the best bike in the world, but you can still run over a screw before you go in, get a flat tire, spin off the ramp, and you're done. So
Even just wind at that high.
yeah, wind at that high, anything. There's so many factors that go into that. It's like, yeah, but I don't know. It's something cool, and that's why it's cool too.
Yeah. And it was cool to see Creedy. Well, did you see Creedy's crash that he had where he like basically come in too close? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I did. That was gnarly. He got lucky and just where he went off and just missed the inside. But it is dangerous, and it's super gnarly. And people don't think it's not like something can happen, and if it hasn't happened already, thank God. But if it once it does, or if it does, it will it'll open people's eyes up to how wild that
just
actually
how gnarly
is.
it is.
Yeah.
And Creedy won on the weekend, obviously.
Yeah.
And he worked basically year round.
Yeah.
Like only event that he did, fully focused on it. Like Jed Parsons built a full custom bike for it. Like
Yeah.
hundreds of hours of testing. So it's gnarly in that respect too, that it's like it's got his respect to the point where he's basically just dedicating his entire year to it.
Yeah, it's incredible. His bike has got so much into it. He's got second injectors on it. Yeah, sorry, he had an EGT on the exhaust for tuning,
Yeah.
for the exhaust temp
Yep.
sensor, and it's like he's got a full proper race bike.
Had Jed fly over with him.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good. Like it's sick. There's probably as much passion that's gone into Creedy's bike as there is an entire race team to it. Like they've put heart and soul into that thing, and you can see it paid off. Good job to him. Well done.
Yeah, yeah. So it was cool to see him get the win, but just cool to see like the effort that had to go in to make it happen.
Yeah, I was interested. With where the Stark was going to be at.
Yeah,
That was an interesting one. I thought that maybe they would have got. I thought I've watched Raha in practice, and I thought maybe he's going to save a little bit more for the comp because but he obviously went high as high, but it was I thought there might have been a little bit more of an advantage with that having all the torque and the power, but yeah,
I think it's funny. Like I'm a big Stark guy.
yeah,
I just think it's too heavy for that particular discipline. You talk to Creedy and Jed, and like they made the bike a lot lighter, and you know, like they really went to town on that because at the end of the day, like gravity's doing its thing.
Yeah.
And the heavier the bike is,
the more energy you need to get up.
Yeah. So it's like it's faster and it's this and it's that, but also like just that it might for that discipline, it might just be too heavy.
Yeah. And there's like 40% of the weight, correct me on this, but something like 40% of the weight of the motorcycle's in the battery.
In the battery, yeah.
But you can have the same voltage but less amp hour battery and have it run. So I don't know why Stark don't make a factory kit for quarter guys and
They
freestyle guys.
probably will, I reckon.
Because you'll get that thing down to 80 kilos and it'll run the exact same, like kilo per horsepower.
Yeah.
And that thing will then be unbeatable.
Yeah, that's what when I left yesterday thinking about that, I was like, they need to make, if they're serious about quarter and wanting to progress in that way, like they just need to make a custom battery that lasts for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's got, similar output. And,
it can be the way the batteries work. It's the same output. It's just the time that it runs for. So you're only sacrificing the charge length.
Yeah.
And you literally only need a couple of minutes to get a contest done.
Yeah, for sure. But the whip was crazy, dude.
Whip was insane. But again, if that thing was 20%, 30% lighter, that'd be huge in there as well.
I wonder what the diminishing returns for weight would be. Like, when would it get too light?
I don't think it would. It's
Really?
Not, yeah. I've tested a lot with weight over the years, and I put a lot of time, effort, and money into building like an X Games bike a few years ago. I put a lot of effort into put a tie kit through the bike, got the transmission pulled out, took all the gears out, just left the one gear in there that I wanted to get, which was 1.5 kilos in a YZ250 engine, which is big weight. Not only the weight, you got a lot of free spin in the engine.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of, the thing will power up quick. You can, no clutch, second gear, you can do it'll pull like first gear.
Yeah.
But you've got the same run length as second. But then I also threw weight out of everything. But then I found myself putting weight back into things like wheels. Because they say that unsprung mass feels 5 times heavier and rotating mass feels 7 times heavier. So for me, I ended up putting weight back into my wheels because you really notice that when if I'm doing front, I've got a heavy duty front tube, heavy duty rear tube. You want to have that inertia spinning in there, and you want it so when you lock that brake up, things going to spin. Doing a double flip, heavier your rear tire. When you gas it in the air, it's the more you're going to change the way you're moving. So that's where the Stark's really interesting because you've got no transmission is the biggest advantage for whip. That's why you can whip the thing so big because normally you're in second gear and you've got the length of second gear. So you're going from a 40 mile an hour rear tire speed to 60s, you run length in there.
Yep.
But with a Stark, you're going from 40 to 100. So the thing's got you can see when you rev one of those things in the air, it goes like that.
Yep.
Because of that rotating gyro on the back. And then that match with a heavy rear wheel, you probably whip it even bigger. But the bike's lighter. You can make that gyro work. When I was back on snowmobiles, I really learned that because there's no transmission on a sled. And there's been guys that to do a flip on a sled, you can pretty much hit the ramp and then gas the thing in the air.
Really?
Look at a good, perfect example. Is a Traxxas RC car. You know when they jump there?
Yes. Yeah.
And they can go backflip, front flip,
yeah.
backflip. That's what you will do in the future of freestyle when you get things light enough, get the wheels matched up, get all the weights set right. You can make the weight and the gyro work better than anything else in the world.
Huh. So you think that as they make the Stark way lighter in terms of the battery and the mass.
Yeah, then the gyro.
And then add weight on either ends as you need it.
Yeah.
That's when you'll really be able to play.
That's where you'll get benefit out of freestyle and whip, things like that, where you want to throw the bike around. If you're getting heavier where you need it and lighter where you don't.
So are you tempted at all to switch to it after seeing it on the weekend?
Not really. I've been on YZ250 forever, and
that's my man.
I need to smell two-stroke.
Yeah.
I like doing it, hearing a two-stroke go off the ramp, you look sideways and all you see is just a heap of boobs, and you're never going to see that with an electric bike.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it an eye-opener for you, or you kind of expected to see it? Because it was literally the whole talk, the whole weekend was electric. It was over the top.
Yeah, it was sick. I think it was because he did such a big whip. That's what Everyone knew that he was going to do a massive one, but seeing it in person, it was like it
Well,
was
and I
insane.
think he went even harder. Like it's like he was holding back some of the videos.
Yeah, I saw the one
even,
from
you know?
Mattos that was big, but the that one that he did at X, the last one, was just
Dude.
insane. And everyone's saying, "Oh, he's got the advantage because he's on an electric bike," and I can't wait till everyone else gets on an electric bike because I think he still fucking hosed everyone. See him off the ramp, he's got his ass on the side of the thing, like he fucking cranked it.
Oh, dude.
It's
And
nothing against his skill set for not getting it. I think he's extremely talented. He did extremely well. Advantage of the electric bike? Yes, there is. And if you don't like it, get on one as well.
yeah, and I guess that's kind of what it.
Or there needs to be discipline either way. I don't want to get too far into that.
Yeah. But I mean, I just think, yeah, I don't know. I can see fours and against. You know, like, well, think about from the industry perspective. I mean, there was guys from Stark there. They pay Raha. They pay Pat Evans. Pat Evans had a f***ing job.
Yeah.
Like he almost quit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and like he said on the podcast, he was going to sign with Stark whether it was better or not because he needed a job.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like at the very least that's the first investment in freestyle motocross.
Yeah.
It seems like in a long time, you know.
Yeah. What baffles me the most is how the Japanese have not been on the front foot
Proactive, yeah.
with this. Like it's obvious that it's the way that it's going to be in Supercross, motocross in the future. They'll probably have their own class, and a small engine. If you're looking for power, torque, everything, simplicity, electric is where it's at. Look at the remote
And that's in
control.
every industry,
Every
yeah,
industry. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
smarter.
yeah.
It's just the way to do it. It's smarter, and it's crazy they haven't done it yet. And I've heard people say, "Do you think they haven't done it because they make so much money out of spare parts by keeping a gas powered one going?" But that's not the case either, because there's so many manufacturers that aren't like the punter. When they buy a piston, they normally get a whatever brand it is, not OEM. So I don't think that's the reason. It honestly does baffle me a bit because they've got more resources than what Stark would have had. It more backing, more money.
Yeah.
Smart,
And they're just giving them a
people.
huge head start.
Huge.
Like first to market. You know, like we all call an action camera a GoPro.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you're just going to call they're
going to be the
Stark.
Bobcat of the skid steer earth moving world.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting how that plays out. I'm kind of interested to see if one of the big guys comes in and just buys them out, gets their tech, and
Well,
that's what happened with Alta originally. Harley Davidson bought
yeah.
them out.
Well, so they, I don't know how public this is. I'll have to check if this is public or not. But
Yeah.
they got a huge investment from an Indian manufacturer.
Yeah.
So they're the largest manufacturer of two-wheel products in the world.
Yeah.
They're a huge company from India. So I think that was like their first huge investment. So yeah, I mean, they already are having these people invest in them, you know, because like they have built a fucking crazy good bike.
Yeah, it is crazy good. Crazy good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when was your first X Games? How old were you?
2011, 19 years old. No, 2010, 18 years old. I was in for freestyle at the Coliseum.
The Coliseum was the first one.
Yeah, but I crashed. I didn't make it.
Oh.
I was just too hungry and went in and
Just
crashed
keen.
in practice.
Yeah.
I remember I went in. There was a double, and I flipped in. It was like a double bowl, and I can't even remember. I got knocked out, so I can't remember a whole lot. I crashed on one jump anyway. This is a fair while ago, and my flip lever hit me in the hip when I crashed and split. Like I needed stitches in my hip, and I got knocked out for a bit. But I told when the medics came over, they were like, "Were you knocked out?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine." And I had a cut on my hip that needed stitches, and I didn't show anyone because I didn't want to get put out of the contest. So I just kept everything super quiet, covered my hip up, brushed it off, tried to remember where it was. And then they, someone from X Games at that point saw the blood on there, and I got canned from the event. And then I came back the following year, Staples Center, 2011, first front flip year, and got the W there. So that was sick.
Got the ball rolling.
Got the ball rolling. That was good. It was a kickstart for my career. I was, super hungry, obviously, and I guess it's no better way to kind of put yourself on the map. Best Trick did that, and I always meshed really well with Best Trick. Like it's kind of been my thing over the years. I feel like I can stay focused for that
Yeah.
time I need to
Just
stay
like lock
focused.
in on
Yeah.
on something really
He's good at
specific.
saying fuck it when you have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
So let's go back to the very start then. So it was funny because Brian was in here last week
Yeah.
and we were talking about Oz.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's when I first met Jacko and he was like 13.
Yeah.
So is that what basically started it all for you? Like you were obviously grew up in Wagga Wagga,
Yeah.
dirt bike kid. And then I'm guessing you were just like me, just froth the fucking crusties when you were a kid. And they probably came to where you're at and that sort of got the ball rolling.
Yeah, I started out
You can pull this down too if you want, if it's a bit high.
yeah. I
There you go.
started on the riding bicycles on the farm. Always wanted a dirt bike. My older brother had a dirt bike. Mum and dad wouldn't buy me a bike, so
Were you too loose?
yeah, I was a bit of a problem child. I
They just
think.
knew you were too loose.
And I ended up buying a whole lot of chooks one year, like meat birds, and I raised them up and then killed them all, gutted them, and sold them, and then got enough cash for a dirt bike.
That's
And-
unreal. That's the best dirt bike origin story. Of
Yeah,
all time.
I did my ass the next year though, because I thought, fuck yeah, I got this, and I went and bought 30 turkeys, and then they got some turkey disease called the Black Death or something, and they all died, and they're all like, there was some that were still alive, and I like tried to kill them first and package them up so I could sell them to Christmas for everyone, but it didn't work out. And then saved up, got a CR80, hated school, and I used to ride my CR80 to the school bus, put it in the. I had a little shed down at the bus stop that I'd put it in when I'd go to school. And I remember we had earth moving machinery on the farm. It's a big farm, and I built some jumps. And I remember I was kind of scared to hit them, and they were pretty big. They were like decent sized doubles. There was
for a kid on an 80.
For a kid on an 80, they were like there was one that was like I'd say an 80-foot doubles. Like they were big jumps, and I remember I was scared to hit them. And one day it was probably like 10 or 12. I was riding down the school bus, and I was like, fuck this, I don't want to go to school. And I went and hit one of the doubles for the first time, put the school bag on the ground just in street clothes and a helmet, jumped, and then I went to school. But I didn't like school too much. But that's kind of where it started. Then I got into freestyle because we weren't near a racing or anything. I had tracks and stuff at home, but I was kind of the Crusty era, and I was all stoked on that.
Yeah.
And then I got in touch with Matto years ago, and he lived near my this is a good story. I got this is a website called FMX Australia.
Yeah.
So FMX Australia was first out, and Matto was on there, and this is when I was at school, and we first had the internet. We had got the internet at home where it made the funny noise when you'd
The
connect.
dial up.
Yeah, and I'd get on there, and see people talking on there, and Robbie put on there years ago. He was building a crane for his foam pit. How should he do it? And then I was like, I think I was probably 10 or 11 at this point, 11 or 12. And I said, you should do it like this, and put a drawing of a windmill that was on the farm, a windmill, and then made a foam pit crane through the windmill, and then sent it to him on there. And he's like, cool, but I don't have a windmill. I said, I got a windmill, you can come pick it up. And then Matto drove down to, and I was like,
has no idea you're 11.
yeah, I don't know if he did or not. I think it's always super confusing at like why he drove 5 hours to pick a rusty windmill up. Anyway, Matto picked me up, picked the windmill up, and then this was at Bateman's Bay, so we were having a family holiday there the following week. My grandparents lived there, and Matto was at Nowra, so he wasn't far away. And I said, Mum and Dad, Roy Madison's coming to pick a windmill up now. Oh yeah, sweet, sure.
Yeah.
And then he turned up, and we loaded the windmill up, and I begged Mum and Dad to let me go, and they and I went back with Matto and Ames. This is like a long time ago.
That's wild.
This is 20 years ago. Went
Yeah.
back with them, and Matto took me in, showed me the ropes, and I ended up getting crashed and getting knocked out there.
So he took your bike as well as the windmill?
Yeah, dirt bike, windmill on the roof of like a XR6 ute somehow. We got back, and then I remember Ames' dad was Jono.
He's the biggest legend.
He's the biggest legend.
Yeah.
And we get back with this rusty windmill on the roof, and Jono's like, what the fuck are you going to do with that thing? And then I kind of shrugged my shoulders because I didn't know any better. I was a kid.
That's fully having a crack.
Yeah, and then I'd sell ice to an Eskimo, and then went and rode with Matto for a few days, and then Matto helped get me in on Crusty tour. I ended up getting knocked out at Matto's just jumping over the back of the landing. Skills were way nowhere where they needed to be jumping ramps, and then Matto trained me up, gave me things to work on, and I ended up spending a lot of time with him over sort of the next few years. Got into Crusty, and then then met Deegan after that, and we went to. Then when I first came to the US, I hit Deegan up. I remember I sent Deegs an email years ago. I was probably like 30, probably 14 or 15 at this point in time. And I got his email from somewhere and sent him, or I told someone to ask him if I could be on the militia. And he sent an email back, and the subject line was Army. And then he said, "This is the general. Do you want to join the army?" Or it was something like that. I remember being a kid and I felt like I just won the lotto.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah, it was funny. He would have been laughing when he was doing it.
Man, we just grew up in the best era because like the internet was actually awesome.
Yeah.
Back then, like we could literally just, there would be like on the bottom of some website, Brian at Metal Militia. Like everyone was green to it that you could literally do that and someone would respond. Like he was probably getting 10 emails a day back then, you know?
Yeah. I get 100 spams. It sucks.
Yeah, nowadays you just like, I mean, almost feel like getting an email is just like a fucking telemarketer calling you, you know?
Yeah,
Like
it was literally like Jay and Silent Bob at the start. Like, what the fuck is the internet?
yeah. You're just in Wagga watching fucking freestyle clips and emailing everyone trying to get sponsored.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah, it did. I didn't even know that you could look at porn back then. So my whole focus was just on dirt bikes.
Yeah,
I didn't even want it probably.
Well, I remember a friend, he was a dirt bike guy actually. His dad had a bunch of Playboys in the shed.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen porn until then, ever.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd ever seen was like late night SBS movies.
Yeah. I remember one of my best friends at home. He, his dad had a truck, like a farm truck, and in the sleeper on the truck, underneath the mattress, there was always a porno in there that he'd read like when you're at the silos when you're waiting. Like I don't know if it was even a porno. It was probably like a picture mag.
Yeah.
I remember me and Vinny used to go and check those things out all the time. Try and make sure we put it back in the exact same spot.
But exactly the same everything.
Yeah.
It was a much simpler time then.
It was.
Especially
I miss magazine days. I miss the days of Free Rider. That was sick.
Simon Macca back in the day.
Yeah, I love those. The era of not seeing anything like when there was no Instagram or anything.
Yeah.
Where you could go, like there's just so much excitement to get the magazine. You wanted to open it and see what was happening before you even did it. Now everything's just saturated and desensitized. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's just
so
that
different.
feeling of seeing a magazine, picking it up, opening it up.
Yeah. Well, mine was Krusty's, bro.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was actually telling Brian the other day, but we had it was like uncle, but he was just a guy that lived with us. He's one of my dad's mates.
Yeah.
And he was a copper. And young dude, ride bikes, and he ended up living with my parents while he was like just basically first year cop.
Yeah.
And every time a Crusty movie came out, he would just fucking slam through the door. Yeah. And he's like, "Boys, we got it." And there's a fucking cassette, Crusty 2. Like Crusty 1 just blew my mind, right?
That's how my career started, was Crusty Demons of Dirt 2.
That was the one, eh?
In my little town, we didn't have there was it's called the mobile library, and it was a truck that would come around and it would go all to these little different towns. And
because you're from a country town. So
country town. So there's no library or books for anyone. If they want to read a book, you've got to, there's just something the government did in Australia to bring access to everything. And so when we were at school, in primary school, we could go in and then you could rent a book, but they also had movies in there. And for some unknown reason, in this Lockhart mobile library was Crusty Demons of Dirt 2 sitting in a VHS, like an Australian government paid thing, and there was a VHS of Crusty Demons of Dirt 2. And I got that thing, got it out and rented that thing that much that it didn't even work anymore.
Fuck.
It's weird.
That is amazing.
Yeah. I need to watch it again. It'll probably bring back so many old memories.
I want to do the same.
Yeah.
I wanted to like watch some shit with my wife
Yeah.
to just be like, wait, this was like my whole childhood. This was
Yeah.
the only access.
It's like one of those. It's one of those movies that, when you watch. Like I watched Fast and Furious the other day, and it was
Yeah.
shit because it was like just real cringy.
Yeah.
But then you get a movie, a different league, same era, that's everlasting, like Roadhouse. That's always going to be good. It's
Yeah.
unbeatable. Like it's
Yeah.
one of the best movies. You can watch it over and over. I feel like the early Crusties are like that. A couple of them.
Oh, and just I think about like because I grew up in Cairns, which
Yeah.
is it's not the same as Wagga, but similar in that it's just like there's no one there. Like we weren't in town where like the tourists and shit were. We were just in like a fucking tiny suburb where there's heaps of farms.
Yeah.
And it's like all we had as kids was fucking magazines,
Yeah.
Crusty videos, and
Yeah.
then there was Nitro videos, and then there was bar to bar. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
our whole fucking life, man. Was just like coming home from school, doing our chores, watching those fucking videos.
Yeah.
And then when we weren't doing that, we were waiting for dad to take us riding.
Yeah.
And it's like the music taste, the clothing, like
Yeah.
all of my music that I ever listened to came from Crusties.
Yeah.
You know, sitting on
I don't know
LimeWire
how
or
those
Napster.
guys did ruining computers on LimeWire. I don't know how they
They got away with the licensing.
all the licensing. I wonder
Yeah.
if they probably. I know the boys. They probably didn't even do licensing. You wouldn't know.
But I wonder, it's all would have been so new back then.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
they
like,
just
they
had
might
something
have just-
so sick at that point in time where the bands were like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to get on it."
Well, I think that too. Like, if you think about some of the bands like NoFX and shit like that, Pennywise, like, I mean, you'd have to think that Krusty's made those bands fucking huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I
they would have
think
been a
did.
huge part of it.
Yeah. Nowadays, music license for doing films is like
You can't even do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too hard. The magazine thing. Back to that when I got in the back page of a Freerider magazine, and my grandfather went down to the local thing in Bateman's Bay where they were retired. Went down to
The
the
golden
to
casket.
the newsagents,
Yeah.
and he said, told the lady that she had to order this magazine in, but I think they would have had it anyway. And she said, "What is it?" And he said, "My grandson's in it. It's called Easy Rider." And she's like, "I don't think it's called Easy Rider." And he said, "Yep, it's Easy Rider. Make sure you order it in." And she goes, "Okay." And then he bought it back, and it was one of the magazines that had the plastic film around it.
Yeah,
It was an
yeah.
old porno, and he got it back, opened it up, and he's horrified.
So he didn't buy a free rider.
No, he got the wrong one.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so there's still fuck ups with magazines, I guess.
Yeah, the magazine thing was just the best as
It was
well.
the days. We had I honestly feel we had the better era. Or maybe a little bit before. It would have been cool to be there at the start of freestyle, like the late 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we grew up in the best era.
Grew up in watching the best era.
You probably just missed the best freestyle era in terms of like the sport and the
Sport
money
being big.
and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But in terms of like how we
And
grew
doing
up,
easy shit for good money, that would have been nice.
yeah.
Couple of seat grabs and go buy a house.
I know, yeah, big old fucking can and
Yeah.
wave to the crowd and fucking get in a punch up and
Yeah.
with the crowd and happy days.
Take your clothes off and drink a beer. Now you get in trouble for that.
I know. You
Yeah.
you're a man for an older time. You would have been you're one of those guys where like if the world ends, I'd give you a call.
Yeah. We'll have
I'd
the
be-
last 2 days of fun.
Yeah, I'd be like, wait, Jacko, this place is going to shit.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ride this out with you.
Yeah.
You're probably the guy I'd fucking have the best chance of making it with.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
You'd have the farm, you got the plane, you got it all going on.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle out there.
What was the farm? What was like the produce from the farm? What were you doing?
Broadacre cereal crops, so wheat, barley, canola.
Yep,
Yeah, so 5th generation on there, I think.
5th generation.
Yeah, so we've been I actually live on Strong's Lane, is the lane. Been there forever. And now my older brother and my dad still run the farm. So they've got with their farms at Lockhart, and then there's more country up at Walgett.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're quite busy with that.
So what year would your family have very first went to Wagga? Because I think it was, I was doing some research on Wagga.
I reckon 36.
That's pretty much when Wagga was invented.
Yeah, 1936. Yeah, what was probably, yeah. I
It
don't
was
know.
literally around, I think it was, I don't actually,
They came straight off the boat. No, I don't know if they were convicts or not. I don't know where they came from.
yeah, do you know any of your family's like full backstory?
So I do know my great grandfather that moved to Lockhart outside of Wagga was a I know he was from a large family down in Melbourne, and they were all in his family were lawyers and doctors and stuff, and then he was just the black sheep that went farming and moved up there for some unknown reason, and then as the generations went on, we slowly weren't as clever as what they started out.
They bred the smart out.
Yeah, they bred it out good. And then my mum's side of the family was they were from they'd been there just as long on the other side in there as well. Not long enough to have any inbreeding problems, but like
Pretty long.
yeah, pretty long.
Just on the edge.
Sounds bad.
But crazy, because I think Wagga was, I was literally just fucking listening to some shit on Wagga. Because it's one of those places, it's pretty fucking iconic
Yeah.
in Oz. Like,
Good they named it twice.
I had no idea the amount of sporting stars that have come out of there.
Yeah, I think it's, don't know. There is a lot of sporting people.
Peter Sterling.
Yeah, who's
And
So-
you're AFL, eh?
yeah.
There's been a couple big AFL boys that I
Yeah.
have no fucking idea about. But
Yeah.
Peter Sterling, he's like commentates in the NRL. Mark Taylor,
Yeah.
one of the a couple big cricketers.
All that I know is real sports take 2 balls, not one.
Yeah.
The
Is that on the back of your t-shirt?
yeah. I think it's probably when you're at a place like that where there's probably not as many things to do.
Yep.
It gives people time to or drive to, and there's probably people that want to get out of the place. I always want to get back there, but don't know.
Yeah, I think isolation breeds a weird type of creativity.
Yeah.
You know, we felt that with Cairns. Like,
Yeah.
we were just, that's it. After that, there's just north is just dirt. And I mean, not as much these days, but
Yeah.
it kind of stops there. And then the closest thing for us was just 4 hours south of Townsville. And that was shitter than Cairns.
Yeah.
And then to go to Brisbane or whatever, it's like 24 hours drive. And you kind of just ended up like, Cairns especially was crazy for mountain bikes. Like, you had a gnarly amount of world championship level guys come out of there. And then really good moto guys like Jackson Richardson, Todd Waters, like the Evans brothers. You know, there was a lot of talent that come out of there, but it was just every week us same crew of dudes as kids were just getting together and riding and pushing each other, and you had no idea what was going on, and you always thought that the other kids down south had it way better.
That's
so it made you like try a bit harder.
I think that's why the Australia's dominated in
Freestyle.
because we're over the whole way over the other side of the pond, and you're always makes you train hard because you're always thinking what everyone else is doing is going to be one step beyond where you are. When you don't know, it's kind of good.
Yep.
And I think that's what's helped push. But everything goes in waves. There'll be another. Every dog has its day. Like, I feel like, look at Supercross. We were never there for ages, and the Lawrence brothers came in. They're doing extremely well. Just takes things,
But you go to Best Trick, 3 Aussies on the podium this year.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much been like that
For a while.
Yeah.
And then you got 3 people that are kind of pushing themselves and feeding off each other a bit. I think it helps being in that circle. Same as Jet and Hunter, they're feeding off each other and pushing and getting further and further. So it's
yeah. And when you have an example to follow of someone that's done it before, like we had it with Chad.
Yeah.
And right at the time that Chad was doing his thing, like that was our generation.
Yeah.
You know, like we looked at him and
Yeah,
we were like, holy fuck. And you that would have given the Lawrences the confidence to chase after it, because, you know, you'd hear the stories, $20 million a year, and like that generation got impacted profoundly.
Yeah.
And now the Lawrences are doing their thing, and you got to think that there's a whole generation of kids.
Yeah.
In
What
Australia.
I liked about those days was when Chad was there, was Chad, Stewart, and Carmichael, and it was kind of like you're watching those three. They were always up the front battling. It was those three personalities that you kind of, or I did anyway, watch those three. Like that was the thing. And nowadays, I feel like it's probably because the riding level's so much higher, but there's a bigger group of people up at that level, so you don't have those three distinct personalities. But I feel like now, or the next couple of years, when we see Haiden getting up into that, you're going to see Jet. It'll be back to the good old days when you've got Haiden, Jet. It'll be like, and that's what's going to make the sport. I think that's what makes it, as a viewer, makes it good to watch, because you really get behind those people. Not that I don't enjoy Supercross or watching it now. It's just that there isn't this just, you're watching a race, you're not watching a person, is what I feel like.
Yeah. Oh man, as soon as Haiden goes on the 450, Jet's gonna be probably 3-4 years in. He's gonna have fuck tons of money in the bank.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a bunch of a bunch of records.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna have this little asshole
ankle biter coming in.
Like, fuck you, Jet.
Trained him well.
Yeah. And it's gonna be an absolute. It's going to be a shit show, but in the kind of way that we want to see it, you know, like he's going to be, and just this year, dude, he has just clicked a gear, eh?
Yeah. The good thing, the thing that I appreciate is that he's got the dog in him. Like he doesn't have to do anything. Like he's out there riding a bike, not for money, not for fame. He's there riding a bike because he wants to win.
Yeah.
Like he wants to be good, and that's when you see that in someone, that's the people that you're willing to support, and the people that will go far because they're there for the right reason. He wants to, and he obviously likes riding, but he wants to
fuck shit up.
He wants to fuck shit up.
Yeah, and that's why it's one of the reasons I've always gone so hard defending him.
Yeah,
because I know that shit doesn't happen often. Where you get a kid that's got like very well off.
Yeah.
Could do whatever he wanted, could be whatever he wanted. And being a professional motocross and supercross rider is like crazy hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's like the hard, of all the things that he could have done that were just like readily available to him, he picked the hardest one.
Yeah.
And he is an absolute savage at it. Like he's the hardest working guy.
Yeah.
And it's like that, it's so much easier to have nothing to lose and to have no backup plan and to have nothing going on and like you've got to make something happen. Yeah. It's like you'd almost rather be in that position. It's a fucking curse.
Yeah, now
to be the son of a millionaire.
Yeah, he's got the spotlight on him.
And the spotlight, and that's way harder, you know. You have to respect that.
Yeah. And I've known Haiden since he was a toddler, and he is a good kid too. Like he's very respectful and very everything. And yeah, so when I see people saying shit on the internet, I'm like, fuck, you get on there.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. It's so easy though to be that guy on the internet.
And when you're young too, I always look back to some of my old interviews, and you say shit that you didn't, like stuff comes across as not the way that you would like to be portrayed, but sometimes it does. And I think that it's all part of growing up. But he's a smart, clever boy and good at what he says. And yeah, he's going to do well.
I think he's earning people's respect this year.
Yeah, he will. He should. He's a fucking hard worker. Anyone in Supercross that doesn't have respect for someone that can go suck it, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
Like anyone who's made it there, they're a hard worker.
Yeah. So when did you meet Brian? How old are you? 13?
Yeah, 13, 14, I think, on Crusty tour.
So you got yourself onto Crusty tour through like Matto and doing all that sort of shit.
Yeah, and then I talked my way into it.
How?
Just
right, dear General.
that was back to Crusty. I got the guy kind of talked my way in there, and then went to the first show in, where was it? It was like, I remember Dad was really busy, so Mum and my older sister drove me there.
Oh, they would have been like, what the fuck?
And Mum, my parents are very very normal people.
Yeah, just farmers.
Yeah,
Aussie farmers.
Yeah, Aussie farmers. They're just
Yeah.
normal people. And then you turn up and
Still
there's
drink full cream milk.
all these people. Yeah, and there's all these people that look like a bunch of junkie gangbangers. And I'm there to ride a bike. And I remember I jumped the ramp first time, decked it on the old steel landing, bounced from the bottom to the top, knocked myself out, bent my bike up. And then I think that was the weekend. There was another practice the next day. And then the guy running the show said, "No, you got to go home. You're not good enough." And then that broke me when I got sent home because I trained so hard. But I just messed it up and didn't clear it. And then I went back home. One of my friends, a cousin of mine that lived near home when I was younger, he raced Supercross, Scotty Hargraves. And I remember he gave me some training when I was younger. So when I came back from Crusty, he gave me some training, like just helped me get going like him and Mato did. And he and then I went back the next weekend. I remember it was Newcastle, I think the following stop. And mum and my sister drove me back up to that one, got over the ramp, did the show, and that was the first one that kind of kick-started it.
What was it like then being a kid around all those guys?
I was young and like didn't really know. I didn't know what was actually going on. Like I thought people were just drinking all the time and they were just staying up late, but they were all like
Sending,
just train wrecks, all of them. The whole production staff, the wheels were just completely fucking off the show the whole time. I don't know how anyone made it to a show, but yeah, I was just a
naive young kid.
And I kind of sold the picture to mum that everyone was born again Christians. So then she let me go to a few shows, and then I ended up going to the shows by myself, and I would fly out on the Thursday, and I was in like year 7 or 8 at school, and because I got shipped off to boarding school when I was young, and then in year 7, and then I left boarding school because I wanted to ride, because I just saved to get the bike, and then so I just put my foot down and said I'm not going to school, and then I went to school, but I was going away a lot of the time at like I was only at school for a couple of days a week for like 10 weeks at a time, and then I missed there's a certain amount of days a year. If you have sick days, you've got to repeat. Yeah. And then I said, I'm not fucking repeating. Like, I hate school. And then I talked, Mum's a school teacher, so I talked her into teaching me, and we signed me up to a distance education program. Yeah. And then it was just for troubled kids that got kicked out of schools pretty much. Yeah. And I did that, and then just kept touring with Crusty for a couple of years. And I got out of school, which was in year 8, the end of year 8. So that was probably one of my largest achievements so far.
Yeah.
I'm a good talker.
Yeah. That was the move, was just getting out of school, being done with it. I fucking hated school too, bro. Yeah. I've said...
I'd just sit at the wall. I'd just be sitting there and people were talking, just like looking out the window. I did not want to be there. It felt like just waste. Like just when you get on the school bus, it felt like I was wasting my day. I did not want to be there.
Yeah. What would you have rather be doing? Just riding?
Riding, or on the farm, or working with my hands, or whatever. It was just boring. Yeah. I didn't like it.
Yeah. It is pretty wild.
It's fundamental life skills, like to a certain point, I feel. But if a kid knows what they want to do once they leave primary school, if they know what they want to do, let them go. Yeah. And I was focused when I was young. I knew what I was doing. But if someone doesn't know what they're doing, well, sure, keep them in there and let them decide. But I think there is a bit of a hole in that system.
Oh man, I just hated it. Yeah. Like, it brought out the worst in me. And all I did for the whole time I was at school, until year 10. Yeah. Year 10, I kind of was like...
Started to see boobs, so you thought school was pretty fun.
Yeah, there were fucking chicks. And I was like, I wanted to be a physio. Yeah. So when I sort of was like, again, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't. Yeah. And when I got there, you kind of got a bit more autonomy. We finished school at 1. I could go and get a job because I love making money when I was a kid, because we fucking didn't have any. Yeah. So I was like, I need to make it.
I was about the hustle too.
Yeah, I was just like, I was fucking washing cars, mowing lawns. Yeah. Like, I had
a lawn mowing business. I've still got the business cards from my lawn mowing business.
What was it called?
So it's called, my nickname, or what my family called me at home, is Budge or Budgie.
Yeah.
And I used to have, when I was little, Budgie Business. It's what it was called. And I have got all these business cards, a price list. It's like sweep a veranda, 50 cents. It's all like absolute. And then I found an old invoice book too.
No way.
And I used to do, because we had a lot of sheep when I was younger, so I used to be in the shearing shed all holidays. And I saw some of the invoices in there to Dad and it'd be like a day's work, $2.50. And I was like, fuck, took advantage.
Yeah, that's apprentice wages back then, mate.
Oh, it was nothing. It was like 10 cents an hour. And then I got 1 cent for a burr, for a Bathurst burr.
What's that?
It's like a weed that you can't spray in
Oh,
a paddock,
yeah,
so you
yeah,
walk
yep,
around
yep,
and
yep.
chip him. So you do that for 5 hours and get $2.50. And then when I went in with another guy in town, I brought him into the lawn mowing business, and he was older, and we started mowing all these lawns, whatever, and then he convinced me that we needed a company phone, and he went and bought a phone with the company profits, and that was like a whole $40 for credit, and then I realized I was getting fucked. So
You were getting rolled.
yeah, I
bro.
cut him out.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad had a rule with me that whatever I wanted, if
Yeah.
I'd brought 50% to the table, then he'd buy the rest.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was like, let's fucking go.
yeah,
So then I started the lawn mowing business and the car washing business.
yeah.
And I just went around, bro, I just fucking sent it around the neighborhood. And I had like 100 lawns
Yeah, how
lined
good.
up all around. And then what did I do? I fucking needed someone to drive me to all these. I went all the way up the
Sick.
neighborhood.
Do you know what pisses me off big time? Is now that I'm older and I've got heaps of stuff going on. I need jobs done all the time.
Yep.
Need things painted, need things cleaned. Got shit going on everywhere at home with some property stuff. But you cannot find anyone to work. And if you want someone to work, you got to pay him $60 an hour. And it's like, there's no one wants to work. There's no young kids out there that want to have a fucking crack.
No, I completely agree, man.
It pisses me off.
Yeah.
Does.
Yeah, I would, and I mean, I could fucking literally talk for hours on it. Like,
Yeah.
it's all I've had to deal with the last few years doing
Yeah.
this, because it's like when you're young, that's when you learn your craft.
Yeah.
You know, like doing an apprentice. It's funny. Roans, he'll actually hear this. He's the first kid that started working for me. He was 17 in school, and to his credit, he did want to work.
Yeah.
But I remember the first back and forth I had with him. I was like, so how much do you want to make an hour? And he's like, oh, probably $55 an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you're like fully qualified?
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh, that's like tradey kind of, like a qualified tradesman. So have you done like 4-year apprenticeship of like video editing and shit? Oh, nah. And I'm like, all right, well, does that mean you're like first year apprentice kind of vibes? And he's like, well, yeah, probably. And I'm like, well, how about I pay your fucking first year wages then,
Yeah.
bro? And we changed the hourly rate pretty quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, and I made good money as a kid doing that shit.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't even care. Like, it was something.
Yeah, and it was
I got a job at the hardware store in Lockhart as well, and it's 10 kilometers from the farm into town. And I went in the hardware store when I was probably like 12, and the minimum working age was like 14 or something.
Yeah, 13, 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went into Johnny, who owned the hardware store. I was telling this the other day because he recently passed away. He was a great man, and I went in and told him I was probably 10 or 11. And I went in and told him that I was 14 and I wanted a job. And he knew that I wasn't that old because he's
Yeah.
known friends with the family forever. And he's like, okay. And he gave me $7.50 an hour for 3 hours on Saturday morning. Had to do a 10K push bike ride before, 10K push bike ride home to sweep the floors. And that was like the biggest payday of my life,
Oh, you were
$21 on
cheering.
a Saturday. That was huge.
Yeah. Yeah, you need that shit too when you're a kid. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I had a.
But people need to get that in them still.
Yeah, I know.
kids.
I don't
Good
know.
work.
It's
Don't
hard.
get me started on kids.
I know, dude.
There's some good ones out there, I'm sure, but
The
not
funniest
easy.
one I had an uncle. It was like, well, he's a cousin. He's one of Dad's cousins, and he owned a fucking landscaping raw material business.
yeah.
And he was just fucking cowboy, this guy. Like, he
Yeah.
actually owned a pub in Burketown, which is like way up in the fucking Cape. And it was
Yeah.
just like him, his wife, and his 3 kids, white as fucking snow, in
Yeah.
this full Aboriginal community owning the pub.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he was rough as fuck. And
Yeah.
they pretty much run him out of town. Like, he
Yeah.
was there for years, and man, like, just he had dramas. like proper drama. He just didn't want to play the game, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, he made a fuck ton of money in this. But in the meantime, he just had this arsenal of weapons, like full cowboy.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, he leaves that and he's like, I'm going to buy a raw material landscaping business.
Yeah.
I'm telling him they were at family dinner or something. I'm like, oh, I'm keen to work. I just want to fucking work. He's like, oh, you can come work at the landscaping thing. And it was just around the corner. It was a couple K pushy ride. Mum and dad are like, yeah, go work for your uncle, Tim. And he had me, I was 13 or 14. He had me driving a fucking front end loader, bro.
Yeah.
And loading these cars. And I just backed into some dude's fucking brand new Hilux with this loader. I'd be there like 3 or 4 weeks, eh?
Got the sack.
Yeah, clipped me pretty quick from that. He's like, well, you can sweep the floors. And I'm like, I don't think landscaping's for me, mate.
Not my thing.
But yeah, we had a fucking crack. But I don't know. Maybe it's just what you do when you have to. Maybe kids don't have to in the same way.
Yeah, maybe they don't have to, but yeah, it'd be good to see. Good to see. I think it builds a worth ethic in a sense of like it gets dog in you when you're younger. I guess like it's good. It would be. I think it's good if I was when I get to the point of having kids or whatever at that point in life, I will make sure that they work hard when they're young.
Yeah, but and I look back now, and all of the shit that I hated the most was the stuff that helped me the most.
Yeah, it's one that builds you the best.
Yeah, like Dad would just have us build. We did like extensions on the house and building pools and landscaping and fucking shit. Dad built everything. Yeah, and your dad would have been the exact same. You know?
Every Australian house has a fibro sunroom in the veranda.
yeah. A fucking hand built barbecue or something. You know?
Yeah.
But like that shit. I've gone to places now, especially over here.
Yeah.
And you go somewhere and then like they don't even know how to make a fire.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is pretty. You should have been doing this in the fucking park, first of all.
Yeah.
But you know, there's just like these random little life skills that you get taught. Like fucking spend 10 hours putting pop rivets in a roof. Like you just learn what a pop rivet is.
Yeah.
You know, just that random shit, and it's fucking gone these days.
Yeah. Feels so lucky to grow up in the country because you learn so much from the country. Like if you grew up in the city, I guess you've got different people that grow up in somewhere like this big concrete jungle. They've probably got different skills to what you do in the country, but you do just feel like you learn so much more about life being around nature and outdoors than you do being around concrete and steel.
Yeah, and just like, especially these days too. I mean, even I've got sucked into the trap big time of just like always being on the internet. Being there's a whole different world that I live in at times. Yeah. I could just live in the fucking internet world. I can sit at my laptop for 12 hours. I'm literally in another place.
Yeah. Yeah, you get sucked in, you look at your phone, it's like boom, you're gone.
But when you're out on the farm, it's a very like
I don't
it's
even
a real
look at my
experience.
phone sometimes. Like I'll go days, I'll be on Instagram all the time, flicking through aimlessly, laughing at funny stuff. But the other day, like I won't look at it at all, and that's when they're the best. It's when your mind focuses clearest too, because you can actually present. When you're looking at your phone and shit like that all the time, I feel just cloudy, spacey. You don't even know where you are.
Yeah, like your attention's fragmented.
Yeah,
like that's one thing I'm finding now, especially like we've been going pretty hard here over the last few months, and I'm just like fucking like a little space cadet, you know. Like I actually feel like I need to go home and like. You remember how you used to have to defrag the hard drive?
Yeah.
Put in the defrag floppy disk and you fucking watch it on the screen. I need to do that.
Yeah.
I might need to come to Wagga.
Yeah, I need a defrag on my brain after the amount of beers we drank the other night.
So the Crusty tour, you're doing that, and was that just like the most mind-bending experience, like seeing those dudes live the way? Because I'm sure you saw some gnarly shit.
Yeah, I'm not going to burn anyone on here.
Nah, but like, any 13-year-old kid that is doing the Crusty tour in Australia in the 90s.
And I was too scared to even go tell the kids back at school what happened, because that was like, there was shit going on. There was people playing up big time. Raised by wolves, I guess.
That's good. Look at you. You turned out all right.
Taught me what not to do. It was definitely a crazy experience. And then I got on, I think it was like, I stayed in my shell till I was probably 17, 18. And then I was a force to be reckoned with from 17 to 18. I was probably the 18, 19. I was a pretty big party guy on that tour. I actually got kicked off tour a few times.
Did ya?
Yeah,
Just being too loose.
Yeah, just being a dickhead. And I got kicked off twice, I think.
Did ya?
In my history.
You're like fucking Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
I got 2 records. I really got to take my skate off.
Yeah. I got sent home a bit. But I grew up after that. It's just boys will be boys. That always got me out of everything.
I was gonna say, like, you're a very extreme fella.
Yeah, with alcohol's probably not a strong point sometimes if you end up doing silly things. But
I just don't think it's many people's strong point at a certain level, though, right?
yeah, I'd barely drink much anymore now, but back then I used to play up pretty hard.
Well, I guess there's probably a fucking headspace. Like, I could never judge a person like you because I know for a fact I don't have what you have. Like, I can't do the things that you can do.
Yeah, I just think it's the way I was paid, like the way things just rolled in. That's why we're here. It's not, I feel that no one person is better at something than the other. It's how much they've worked at
Put
it.
into it.
Yeah, I always take eating food as an analogy. Like if you get a fork and pick up a piece of food and put it in your mouth, that's something that everyone's done the same amount and everyone's just as good as each other.
Mm. Yeah, that's true.
And then you still make mistakes because if you ever bit your tongue.
Yeah. And you don't.
So everyone makes mistakes and everyone's just as good as each other. Like it's, I don't know. Some people obviously naturally talented in some area, but it's kind of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, you specialize in best trick. And you even said it before, like base jumping could be the last time every time and you're cool with it. You know, there is something.
Yeah, there must be something.
There is something there where like you can pull the trigger on a gnarly thing and go to like whatever zone you have to go to. Like to do the first ever fucking front flip at X Games on a dirt bike. Like that's that is special.
Yeah, I guess there's a trigger in there somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just stupid and don't think enough.
No, but you've pulled it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that there is something kind of, it's got to be environmental. Like you obviously grew up in that environment. You were exposed to gnarly shit at a young age, and your mind was kind of like open to the possibilities of, you know, living that kind of life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's still got to be a dude inside that can actually go when they tell you to go.
Yeah, I think that's what is being able to, when you're always in a high pressure situation, if you can like not everyone can function in a high pressure situation. I was talking to a friend that's a surgeon and he's got to do shit when shit's always hitting the fan. He's like, I just stay calm. It's like heartbeat's the same. I just do my job. And I think the same when I'm rolling in for best trick, my heartbeat's the same. I'm not scared. I'm not anything. I'm just here to do a fucking job and jump off building. I'm not scared. I'm fucking here to do it. But that's the way I've trained my brain and my body to be. If I got scared, I'd probably fuck up because you're going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And same as someone else, like another high pressure job or like a surgeon or a pilot doing something. If they can be in, you got to be in control when it's like that and be able to not be the guy that freezes up and ruins the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's about being in that state where you can make your brain, where you can still think clearly, things slow down and you can still make everything work.
Yeah, and I think as well, there's an element of growing up the way that you did in terms of like being on the farm. I bet your dad's a pretty gnarly dude. Your brother's a gnarly dude, you know, like, and when you've got animals and you're killing animals and you got to, you know, like your gut and shit, like there's a weird sensitivity level that a guy like you, like you'd be very desensitized to things that would be shocking to other people that are just living in a more urbanized environment. You know, I know that from like...
Yeah, growing up on a farm or in the country, I guess you're always killing animals, you eat all the time. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, and you're just exposed to a different... Like, I just think your baseline's probably different as well, you know, and just like the pain tolerance and what warrants a trip to the hospital and what warrants a trip to the doctors. Like, I'm sure there's just a lot of those little factors that kind of
I remember when I broke my. We never went to hospital as kids.
Yeah,
and
I
I
bet.
remember I broke my arm, and I broke the thing when I was on. It was the first time I ever jumped a freestyle ramp on my CR80. I built this ramp in the shed, and it was an Aussie comp ramp, but it had a tiny kick, bit much on the end. I had no idea. I set the thing up on just a dirt on the side of a dam bank, and it was set up at like 40 or 50 feet. Hit it, jumped, missed the whole landing, went to flats and landed
Oh,
and snapped my arm. And I was probably 10 or about 11, and the thing was like proper banana, like proper broke my arm. And I yelled out to mum and said, "Mum, I got to go to the hospital." And then she was like, "Well, I've got no fuel in the car." And her car was parked at the fuel bowser on the farm. And I went and fueled the car up, broken arm. And then she saw it was broken. And she's like, "Oh, shit, get in, we're going."
yeah. I mean, that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, like you would have just had to, you would have been exposed to like just some fucking next level shit that probably trained you for the job that you ended up choosing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess so.
And so you do those shows, and would you say that your skills just weren't kind of up to par, but you just had like the dog, like you just
Yeah.
wanted it.
Yeah, I wanted it, but I wasn't there. Took me a fair while to like I bought my first bike at 11, and then I was on Crusty at 13. So I only rode for 2 years, and then like I got into it pretty quick. I didn't grow.
You
Like
just
we
knew
had
exactly what you wanted.
we had farm bikes, but I shortcutted myself to be there at 13. I probably had no business being there then. Like I could do the tricks but I just had my riding wasn't up to par at that point.
And so the Crusty tour ends. Where do you go from there in terms of like your development and your riding?
So we went to once Crusty rolled over, then the same production company started running Nitro.
Yeah,
And then I
that's
went
right.
into that. And then right at those days, it was still late Crusty days, first X Games, back to that, and then rolled into Nitro. And then been with Nitro for doing their shows for some time. I feel the shows for me are kind of hard nowadays. I get pretty big weekend. Get pretty pretty bored. Like it's a bit of a it's very repetitive. I did a recent tour. It's great. It's great being there with all your friends and a good opportunity to have a job and make some money. But the shows are difficult to be on a whole tour and do that. Like I could never. I don't think I can go back to doing a Nitro or Crusty tour or something like that. I kind of want to be at home with the family now, and it's probably just a different era of life.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've just done it.
I've done it. I've been there. I've done that. I don't like. I enjoy having a beer with the boys still, but I don't want to go on a 10-week bender anymore. I couldn't think of anything worse.
yeah, yeah, and it's just seasons of life, and
Yeah.
and you've got such a sick compound at
Yeah.
home too. You know, when did you start really building? Like you've obviously were always building stuff at home, but like
Yeah.
when did that really like step up?
Don't know. It's just I guess growing up on a farm, you learn to build and weld and how to make stuff, and yeah, it's just always been. I've always built my own ramps, make all my own ramps, and sound like a stump man, and yeah, and just bike parts, different bits and pieces, and yeah, just enjoyed it. It's fun. I love being in the shed.
Yeah.
Yeah, building stuff's sick.
And so when did you start to build like your compound as it is now?
Compound was since day one. We had an
So it was
old
just this slow evolution.
slow evolution. It kind of moved around the property a little bit, but we had a Cat 988 loader. It was Cat 988A. So the one that came without before they put a cab on the thing. This had a cab put on it.
Oh,
afterwards.
after.
It's like the old cat loader, and I started building with that when I was probably like 10 in the Cat 988. That's a big loader. And then I ended up pretty early in my career. I got a deal with Komatsu, and those guys stuck by me, and I got some good machines, and they helped me out immensely over the years, which has been probably pretty fundamental to my success. Is having good earth moving equipment. It's more important than a good dirt bike in my industry, I feel.
Yeah, that's probably true, really.
Having a good place to ride and a good setup's better than I'd rather have a new machine than a new dirt bike. Like you're gonna get more out of it as a kid.
Yeah.
I've done more hours in machines than I have on bikes, 100%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If you're doing it yourself, you've done more hours in a machine than you have on the bike.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
And so, how did you see your career going when you were young? Like, you come off those first tours.
I was talking about this the other day. I did an interview, that first interview in Freerider. It said, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And it was like living in a mansion with 10 X Games gold medals or something. And I was thinking about it the other night. 13 years later, or a little bit longer, and it's 8 golds, and I'm still living in my shed that I built when I was 15. So it's, yeah, pretty happy though. Like it's, yeah, good. It's never it's never going to be the path that you want.
Or
Like
think.
life always, fuck it. It does its twists and turning. You've always got to have some lube in your pocket in case life wants to fuck you. But I feel like it does. Yeah, it's good though. Like it's been good so far.
Yeah, when did the mansion drop off that list by choice or by circumstance?
A bit of both. Like I'm happiest in the shed. I got a house in town. My partner and I do where we stay in. We just built a house last year or something, but I don't spend much time. And I'm always like, we're staying at the shed tonight. I built the shed when I was younger. It was my first sponsor. It was a guy in Jeff Hounsell in Lockhart, and he built me a shed. He had Kengo Sheds, a business in town, and I became his son's one of my best friends now, and he was sort of he was probably 4 years younger than me, so I kind of raised him up when he was coming up. And anyway, Jeff built the outside of the shed, and then I built all the inside, but it's all, like I built it when I pulled other old sheds down, and it's like tin screw, like it's not super nice, so my partner's not very happy when we stay back there because you can see daylight, there's often a breeze, it's lots of spiders. Yeah.
But it's home.
It's home though. It's hard to explain
No, I get
to
it.
anyone. I just want to be on the farm. I want to be outdoors, and I want to have no noise at night. I want to wake up, walk out in the nude, take a piss on the front lawn, and not see anyone. Like it's just I can't explain why I love the country, why I love that piece of it. You just feel peaceful there.
Well, that is freedom.
It is. It's just free. There's zero worries.
Yeah, and no one's coming to tell you what to do.
No
one's telling you what you can do. No one's telling you what you can't do. Like, and then the neighbours that are around, you're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
You know,
closest neighbour's a couple k's away, so you're chilling.
And everyone's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just freedom.
Yeah.
You know, like actual real freedom. And I think once you have like a proper taste of that, there, and I mean, we get it when we do the Cape ride.
Yeah.
Like we go for a couple weeks and you're on a bike for 7 hours a day with your mates, and then you roll into camp and the swag's already out and the fire's going.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, yeah.
You just make sure your bike's good for the next day.
Yeah.
And then sit down, fucking talk stories, make some good food, go to bed. Fucking everyone's at me mates are there, my missus is there. Like, then you get up and you do it again.
Yeah.
And then you come back and you live in the house and the car and the traffic and the phone and the internet and and you realize quickly
how good life is with how little you need.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need much.
Need fuck all. You need a fire
and if you're
a couple of beers.
And if you're Sammy, you need a fan.
Yeah.
he'll get that when he listens to it.
I love off-road riding too.
Yeah, did you do a bit of that?
I've done the Rip to Carbo a couple of times.
Oh, that's
I'm not
Cameron Steele's thing,
yeah,
right?
Cameron Steele's thing.
Yep.
So it's the Baja
Yep.
track down to Carbo so San Diego down to Carbo, and it's just fun. I'm sure it's like the Cape thing. I'd love
Just
to do
very,
that.
yeah.
Just sitting on a bike. You're just using the motorcycle to get from A to B and having, it's fun.
Yeah, there's no rush.
Yeah.
You just fucking cruising.
Just it. You just, enjoying it.
Yeah. So I definitely get it. And it's funny, like most friends that I've got that have achieved like a level of like, okay, Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
What does he want to do?
Yeah.
Go to his farm.
Yeah, stay there.
Jack Miller.
Yeah.
What does he want to do? He wants to go to his farm. I got some other Aussie friends that have done well in business. What do they want to do? They want to live on their fucking farm.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny McLean at Lusty. What's he want to live on his farm? Like, I think there's a certain level that not like a level that you get to, but I think you you can work your way through and do all the things and check all the boxes that you think you wanted. And then once you've done them, a lot of people realize that they just don't want much, actually.
Yeah, the more you have, the worse life is sometimes.
Yeah, like be careful what you wish for kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because you had a house in America and you did all that shit.
Yeah, I moved over here. I was staying with, after, I think it's like my first, second X Games, and I was always staying with the Deegan family. And then I got a house, moved over here with intention to, because I'd just kind of stay with them, come over, and then I moved with intention to stay here for a longer period. And then I just get homesick. It's pretty much I'm good for like 2 weeks, and then I start to get homesick.
That's your limit?
That's my limit. So when I had the house, I stayed in there, and then I'd find myself just staying in Deegan's guest house in the shop still, because I'd wake up early in the morning, just drive straight to, and just build jumps. Or
you were just starting to work.
Yeah, fix something, or just change the oil on tractor, or just do something, because I just can't stand sitting still or being in town or. Yeah.
What was the did you hit it off with Deegan straight away? Because you guys are still really good friends to this day.
Yeah. I always got on good with him, and he's helped me out. So he's a very, very selfless person. Like, people don't understand how much he's done for some people, and he's the guy that'll give you the shirt off his back. Like, he's a good dude, and I just don't know. He's always just been someone I trust.
Yeah,
immensely.
I don't think people realize how cool he is, but I mean, he doesn't have that. He's got a small circle, I guess. So it's you kind of only getting to see.
Similar sense of humor too. Good sense of humor. So it's good.
But I think he was obviously like a pretty instrumental person in your development, especially over here. Yeah,
and he's always had work ethic. He's got a smart business brain. He's got perfect person as a mentor, I feel. Yeah.
And when it comes to the actual technical freestyle side of things, was he pretty helpful when it came to just actual career stuff?
Yeah, definitely. And he knows how it is. There's only a certain amount of people that know what it feels like to be in a best trick contest, sitting in front of a ramp, what's going through your head. And he's someone that's can relate to that. He knows. He's like, I know what it's like to fucking sit there, and it ain't cool. So good shit for sacking up and doing it.
Yeah. So the first X Games that you win, you win with the front flip. What was the process of learning the front flip?
So
why'd you even think that it could be done?
I remember I tried it in the foam pit. My grandfather and dad and I built a foam pit at home, and I tried off a super kicker in there and ended up, and I was like, this isn't going to work. And I ended up getting a bit passed upside down. I was like, wow, it's possible. And then worked on that at home. And then I did it on Crusty tour. I signed up. This Cairns is going to get a plug here.
Yeah, I was there, dude.
And I did the whole Crusty tour, and I crashed every single time. I think there was 11 stops on this tour, and I had the ramp at 90 feet. And I was going wide open second gear. Hitting the ramp, going fronty, and I was just kept landing every time because both wheels are locked up. So I think, I don't know, I was just not quite getting it landing back wheel heavy, and I was getting fucking pumped. I don't know how I didn't break anything.
How's that work? When you sign up for Crusty Tour, you basically say, I'm going to do this trick every night, basically.
Yeah, pretty much every night for however long it was. And I was on a good wicket, so I was chilling. And and I got through, and then, we get to Cairns, and that was the first one I landed. I crashed however many there was before that in the tour, and rode one away.
Fucking Cairns. That was a wild night after that too.
Oh, I can't remember much of my life.
Yeah,
I do.
Me and Sheeny.
Yeah.
There was the after party was at Gilligan's.
Yeah.
In town, and we got kicked out of that. And then he's like, bro, I'm in the fucking show. I can't get kicked out of the after party for the thing that I'm in.
Yeah.
So then I was like, dude, fuck it. There's a club upstairs that has a balcony. And there was this huge tree in the beer garden out the back there.
Yeah.
And I was like, we'll go to this club and then we'll jump on the fucking tree.
Yeah.
And then we'll go down. She's like, perfect. So we ran out the front, got up there, fucking blind. And then he's jumped off the balcony first. And then he's just just slid down this massive big fig tree.
Yeah.
And then I have gone behind him, and then the Secchies had kind of wised up to it, and they just ripped me off the fucking tree, bro. Threw me on the ground and literally just skull dragged me out the club. So that ended me night there. But I remember that front flip actually.
Yeah, so that was that, and then I sent that to X Games. And X Games said we don't want to have anything to do with it because Jim DeChamp tried. Remember, he had the bike with the short forks.
Yes.
And he tried it that year, and then he crashed. He got hurt, and then Paris Rosen, another guy, he came in the next year, and he landed completely upside down.
That's right.
And he got fucked up bad, like he nearly died. And then X Games said it can't be done in Staples Center because of the roll-in. Like, because everyone said there wasn't enough speed, or some blamed it on the roll-in. And then I said, and I built a roll-in the same height as at my house still. It's fucking huge. It's probably like 8 meters tall, like a massive, copied the one that was in Staples Center, like got a rough angle and built it, put it down in front of my ramp in the foam pit, and gave myself there was only like a couple of ramp lengths in run, and then sent him a video, and then they were umming and ahhing. So then I moved over to dirt, the same setup, and did one to dirt with the roll in, and then okay, sweet.
That's crazy.
I wanted to get in. Wasn't easy.
Fuck, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid investment in yourself. That's called backing yourself.
Yeah, that's called backing it.
Yeah. So how was the ramp? Like, was that when you had the funky ramp with like the kicker thing on it, or was that only at Nitro?
I never fucked with that.
Yeah, okay. You just raw dogged it.
You raw dog, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I was against those things. Yeah. It was just a normal standard free ride, or Aussie comp free ride, whatever they're called.
It fucking blew me away this weekend at Ventura, just watching you and Adelberg practicing.
Yeah.
And practicing front flips to do a front flip with a trick.
Yeah.
But it was just every fucking time you guys were just landing. And I was in camp. I remember that it was just this gnarliest thing, and it was almost impossible. And then you guys got it to the point where you're able to warm up and just over and over and over.
I don't know if we even are. I think because Rob and I have been like this for the last couple of years. In the future generations, I don't know if there will be people that will be at the fronty level. I'm interested to see if there's ever going to be people that will do it as consistently as we have. Like, we've fucking gone and we've fed off each other. We've fucking battled each other to get to that, and it's been good. Like, that's what's pushed us so hard. I think we're both going at it proper hard. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not it's still not easy for me. Like, even coming into X Games this year, it's probably only a month ago. I just went through a had a bad run where I could only just rotate. Like, I lost, and I was like, fuck, if I lost this. And then I made a bunch of bike changes. I know everything to do to set up my bike to make it fronty better. So I milked more out of the bike, which got me back to an acceptable level to where I could get on the airbag get on the landing and do something and ride them away. Because I can't learn, if I lose it, I can't learn it back in the foam pit, because you do a jump and you get pulled out with the excavator. The only way for me to build it's like fast repetition is how my brain sort of works.
Right. So you need to be able to cycle through.
Yep. So then I couldn't do it, and then pulled enough out of the bike so I could land it to the bag, and then I just went around and did a shit ton until I got that muscle memory back perfect, whatever I was doing that wasn't quite right. It's the next gen ramp. It's that big ramp that makes it hard to fronty. Like, you can lose your style easy because you can be sloppy because it rotates faster.
Yeah.
You can be shit at it and still do it. And then if you're shit at it, like if you're not as good at it, if you're not doing everything perfectly, it gets worse and worse. But on an Aussie comp ramp or the normal 75, you've got to do everything perfect to get the thing to spin.
Did you just do it off the next gen? You did, eh?
Yeah, we did. So that's the only way you can do a combo. Because Rob and I were talking about it the other night. We're like, well, even when someone fronties, they've got to be able to fronty 75 to do a combo on next gen. And I don't know if anyone wants to fronty 75. It is hard, but you do learn the fundamental principles of front flip on the smaller ramp because you've got to milk everything. Everything's got to be perfect.
So, yeah, can you just explain how a front flip works on a 75? Like, what? And Are you locking the wheels up now? Like it didn't seem like you were.
Yeah, you go. I just come in pretty hot. Like when you do just reverse whatever a backflip is. Backflip, you come in slow, you stand up tall over the front of the bike, and then move your weight back, and then you got the most leverage on it. But fronty almost come in super hot, and then I try and pick the last 3/4 of the ramp would be the shut off where I shut the gas off, and then if you stand up and back a little bit, then you can like pull yourself forwards and into the bars, and you're getting more leverage over the bike to get a quicker rotation. And then pretty much as quick as I can once I leave the ramp, then front brake, rear brake. When I'm going around to do a fronty, I'm telling myself in my head if I want it to be a quick rotation, I always think quick brakes, because that's what gets it going. It's the brakes, not on the ramp, but in the air. It's those two gyros again stopping that makes the thing tumble over. And then once you do that, you're kind of pretty well locked in. Off 75, you just do that as hard as you can. And then if you do that, everything perfect, you'll get to your wheels. Next gen, you've got to be a little more careful because if you go as hard as you can without a combo, you'll nose yourself in. So you've got to be pretty cautious of where you are when the thing rotates around to stretch out, give it some gas and extend.
It's so gnarly.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, it just seems gnarlier than a backflip by a long way.
Yeah, I think backflip, everything's working with you, but even just flying through the air with two locked up wheels is not a nice feeling. Your bike always feels like shit.
Just like real squirmy and.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's done it so many times, but still so hard. Don't know if I'll do a fronty again.
Really?
Yeah,
might be done.
Yeah, I just kind of done it for that long. I think I want to go back here. Like early X Games years, I did some body varials and different things. So I think just need to mix it up. Don't want to do the same shit forever. Kind of been there, done that. I think.
Yeah. What's the dynamic between you and Rob like?
Good. We're obviously competitors.
Yeah.
We grew up together. We're really close friends.
Well, I was gonna say he's from Wagga too, right? Or similar.
Yeah, he was in Wagga for some time. He's down in Benalla.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we grew up, rode a lot together when we were younger, and then I think just being in a different sort of team situation, you like him being different energy drink, different, and we kind of all X Games always puts us on this
like
thing.
against each other kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think like it's like I respect the hell out of him and he'll be closest friend, but it's like once all this finishes, I feel like we'll be
way better mates.
Way back to kind of where we were, I think. But yeah, don't know. He's respect the hell out. Like what he's done, I know how much work he's put in to be where he is because I'm right there.
Yeah,
like I've done it too.
Yeah.
I know how hard it is, and I'm looking at you. I'm like, fuck, like that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, yeah, and you can.
It can go anyway. Like best trick is a judge contest. It's like both any trick there that's like you can see the ones that are hard. Like it's pretty sick.
Yeah, and you guys had a different take on a similar
trick.
Similar trick, you know. And
there's only so much shit you can do with it that because you're robbing rotation when you do stuff. So some things work, some don't. I feel I did do a fair few front flip seat grabs in the foam pit before X this year, and I was going to do that as well, but it wasn't as big as what the cliffhanger was. It would have been new and different, but it wasn't as big. So
yeah. And did you know what Rob was bringing?
Not really. I had an idea, but I didn't know. Yeah. I always psych myself out if I think about what someone else is doing. I don't care.
That doesn't factor in?
It doesn't factor in. I just do what I came to do. A friend always said to me at the start, if you're trying to compete against someone else, that you're only ever going to be as good as someone else.
Yeah.
Which is fair. And it just stresses you out, and who cares? I don't care what anyone does. I
Yeah.
just know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and I think in the game that you're in, like that's the whole deal is like you're trying to come up with some gnarly thing that you don't think anybody else is going to be able to replicate.
Yeah. Everyone competes with, like, everyone's cautious or thinking about what someone else is doing. Like, it's obviously sets the bar, sets the standard, but once the training's done, it's like, it is what it is. You're going to do what you set out to do.
Yeah. It's fucking mind-blowing that two dudes from Wagga are the best.
Yeah, it's
at
crazy.
This insane sport.
Yeah, it's a fucking brutal sport.
Oh, bro.
It's crazy. I always wish I was a fucking golfer or something. That'd last 2 seconds.
Yeah, you'd be so bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got like, well, why do you think Aussies are dominating the way that we are now in that sport particular?
I don't know. I think it's like so, I think X Games like culture back when we were younger is such a big, like if you look at Australia per capita to anywhere else in the world, we have a lot of athletes in the extreme sports area, and I think it was probably just that generation of culture back when we were growing up that it was like the cool, exciting thing.
Yeah.
It's probably Crusty tour that really doing those tours in Australia probably bred the next generation inspired the next younger generation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'd have to, eh?
Yeah.
But I think
It's like, and I think when you're in a group of people too, and you're training and you're riding together, and you're in the same area, well, people move better together if you're riding together, training, whatever it is. You learn back when you're growing up, you're kind of learning more. Whereas it's like the US Supercross, Motocross. Everyone's riding the same tracks together, and they're a different level, or a lot of the guys are a different level they do because they're all together. And I feel like Australia's taken freestyle, and we've done that at home.
And you'd have to think as well, just having, we had the Crusty tour and then you had Nitro.
Yeah.
So just being the country that seemed to embrace those sports and those tours, and it was like a staple of Australian entertainment in a way, you know?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like the Nitro tour and Crusty, they only really toured in Australia, was the places they did the best. Like it was a pretty big thing there for a while.
Yeah, and it just obviously breeds, like, because when you think of like Harry, and you got Harry, you got Top Dog, you got like Jacko, like there was just an entire
it's like half
Sinclair,
of Australia are freestyle riders.
Yeah, and it was just
like that.
It was such a movement, and then you got like before that Matto, Uric, like there was just so many people that came before you guys and like almost laid the foundation in a sense.
Yeah, and then it's next generation through too.
Is there young kids that are doing it?
Yeah, we've got Benny and Tommy Richards at home.
Yeah.
And they're solid. They ride at the uppermost level of as good as it gets. I think they just need that. They're so close to being podium guys, but just to get that next little bit is what they've got to get the dog and chase down now, I feel.
Yeah.
But they just ride. Like Benny, they're both guys that they'll show up to the course and go, like they can just ride bikes good because they've done it for so long.
Yeah. And so what about the best trick was better than the freestyle? It's like the actual freestyle runs for you.
Probably my attention span doesn't last too good in freestyle. I'd get confused after doing a few jumps. But yeah, I don't know. I think freestyle for me, I've had a lot of crashes in freestyle over the years. I've never got freestyle gold. I've got some silvers, bronzes in freestyle, but I don't know. I'd always crash on my last or second last jump because I'd always be like, I'm gonna do something fucking big now. And then the only time I've ever gone well at freestyle is when I went to 80% of the level. What I could have. Yeah. Because you're tired, you're unfocused. I just, lose focus quickly, I guess.
Yeah. But do you like the element of just kind of like locking in on one thing and like becoming a bit of a scientist around figuring it out?
Yeah, I do. I like the element of that. And I like I can stay really stay focused for that point, but I don't ride well tired. Like when I get tired and puffed out, I just shoot for the stars too much. And I think
get a bit too ambitious.
Get too ambitious. Yeah.
What was the hardest trick for you to work on over the years?
I don't know. Probably like fronting was hard to get that figured out. Front flip cliffhanger this year has been very difficult. Like there's so many little points that I tell myself in that to get it big. And it's
I didn't understand how that thing could work. When I saw you doing it, I was like, what the fuck are these guys gonna do?
In my head, I'm quick brakes. Quick brakes, wait. I've got to wait a sec because if I open up, once you hit the brakes to get it to spin, if I don't wait, the rotation won't start quick enough. So I go quick brakes, wait, feet in, feet up. And then when I extend the hands up, because that helps my bum go out, and then get back on, I've got to grab my not just get back on. I've got to bring my feet back, bring my heels back under me to try and get the thing spinning again. And then as soon as I get back on, got to hit the rear brake because the wheel, because you let go of the clutch and it's in second gear. Whenever you take the hands off the wheel,
It'll
with the
start
front,
spinning again.
start spinning, and you'll lose a bit of gyro, and then you can milk it a bit again when you hit the brake when it goes again. So there's just so many little points to try and remember. You can't remember, even though I recite them over in my head when I'm doing it. You can't. It's just like riding a bike. It just happens. It's not like same as anyone. Yeah, you're not thinking about anything. But I think by saying that to yourself, your subconscious mind is aware of what's happening.
Yeah. And are you able to, so like, what's the process of just learning that? Is it literally just step by step by step by step? Like front flip, obviously that's step one.
Yeah, step one.
Needs front flip, check.
Check. And then just in the foam pit, going over and doing, and then you can kind of send stuff in the foam pit. It is dangerous. I've broke my leg in there before. It does fucking hurt sometimes, but you can send a big one in there, and then yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of years now. It's something that takes a long time. Like when you see a trick happen at X Games, it's normally been worked on for a couple of years.
But before we get into this podcast, we have some breaking news. Manscaped now offers beard products and they are available in your country. It's time to tame your mane, so say goodbye to all your stubble trouble with Manscaped's new Beard Hedger Pro kit. They have created 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care. First, there is the beard shampoo and conditioner, the beard balm that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. The Beard Pro Kit also comes with 3 free gifts, a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is always ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code GYPSYGANG at manscaped.com. Manscaped Beard Hedger. 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths.
Have you ever had to where you wanted to bring something and it just wasn't ready?
Yeah, this year I was keen on a seat grab as well, but it wasn't to be as big, to do that as good as what the cliffhanger was. It wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
So,
but you never was like working on something for a year and it just wasn't quite ready in like the way that you thought it would. I guess that.
Yeah,
maybe.
I always try and have if something doesn't work and I don't pick it up quickly, like if it looks like no hope, I just fucking bin it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to. Life's too short to get
to get stuck
There's
working
so
on
much
an
other shit
impossible
you can
trick.
do. So many tricks out there that can be done still.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh, there is mountains, endless. It's just they're just
Really?
hard.
Yeah. Where would you
Yeah.
see it going?
I don't know. There's endless, whole lot of different variables that can happen, and more fronty stuff that can happen. But again, it's like the level to get the fronty done is maybe someone else will come out and school us in a couple of years. Hopefully they do. But yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, there's plenty more that can happen. It's just hard.
Yeah. And is it hard because of also like where the industry is?
Yeah, I feel like it's not where it used to be. It's not.
Yeah. Have you thought much about why?
I don't know. I just feel action sports the whole way over is a little down the last sort of 5 to 10 years. Like we're still very well looked after sponsors and very well supported by the people we
In the industry.
in the industry we're involved with, and it is a great industry. But you don't get paid $100,000 to go and do a seat grab in Europe like the old days, or
yeah.
it's yeah, it's a little bit different. Even throughout the whole action sports thing, I don't know. It's I don't know. People are probably inside on the not the biggest following as it used to.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like in the early days of it was so new and it was so crazy to see it. And I wonder like if there's an element where people have been desensitized to where, like but I mean, I was literally standing in the crowd the other day.
Yeah.
And, even when you were practicing, people were like, whoa. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not it yet. Like,
And it's-
they're not even doing it yet. So
It's probably something too that it's like people. It's hard for the everyday punter to understand, to comprehend too. Like everyone can pick up a tennis racket or pick up a golf club and appreciate how hard it is to hit that ball, make it where you want it to go. And I think motocross has the following of people that do that.
that do it, yeah.
Yeah, like skateboarding, BMX. There's a lot of more of the population has picked up a skateboard, gone skating, and appreciate how hard it is to ollie down a set of stairs. Hence, they can relate to what they're watching. Freestyle motocross. There's not many people in the world that have hit a ramp and try to do a trick, so they don't. It's probably a little bit unrelatable. Probably more of a circus act than a cult following of sport.
Yeah, yeah. But it was so big in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
like
I don't know. I guess it's just the wow of the.
Yeah.
It was probably the everyday punter was used to seeing a bike go around a motocross track, and they started going higher in the sky, so it was captivating to them, even though it's not as hard to do as the racing was at that point. What they were doing.
Yeah, and you got to think as well, like the Metal Militia and Crusty Demons created like a whole new subculture of human.
Yeah,
Like it created a new type of human that was basically like Brian Deegan, Twitch, and Ronnie Feist
Yeah.
replicas all over Southern California.
Yeah,
Like the whole 909 thing was sort
Yeah.
of like invented.
Yeah, you've only got to go to a motocross track in Australia, and everyone named their kids Deegan or
I
Zed
know how
every
many
second
Deegans
kid.
are there,
Yeah.
eh? Or say. It'll be the same with like Jet or Haiden in, in
Yeah.
a few years.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that also played like a massive part in it.
yeah,
And so you had the place in America,
yeah.
and then you decided it wasn't for you. What
Yeah.
was the like? I guess how did you see everything playing out? You're like, you know what? I'm going to go back to the lab. Have the farm in Wagga, and I'm just going to do everything out of there.
Yeah, I just had everything set up at home. I just wanted to be in the country, so I left back there, went back on the farm, and just trained every year. X Games been the focus every year for the last sort of 13 years, and it's been. I feel like I can do it the best at home. I've got everything I need to machines, foam pit, and it's home, so I feel comfortable staying there. Sold the house over here, and then bought other property back in Australia. So everything worked out well.
And so, how much time would you dedicate to riding a year? Because you fly planes and you do base jumping and you do all the other shit. Like,
Yeah,
how did you structure your time?
back when I was early in my career, I'd be putting hundreds of hours on bikes a year, like hundreds and hundreds.
Really?
Like I was doing a lot of riding.
No, just all freestyle?
Yep, freestyle, ramp, or I had a supercross track when I was younger too. Did a lot of riding, bike time. And nowadays, I had a bike the other day. I looked at the hour meter for my one at home, and I think it was like 50 hours in a couple of years or something. Like I don't do as many, but the riding I do now is
More intentional.
very intentional. Like foam pit, if I'm getting on a bike, it's fucking scary stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like less riding is more now for me. Like if I'm doing, but leading up to X Games 2 months in, I'll be on the bike for probably an hour a day, but it's probably only an hour and a half in gear, and it's probably 10 minutes of bike time because I'm going, stopping, watching footage. But that takes the whole day, a full day for me to. By the time I get the jumps ready, get the foam pit ready in machines, it's beyond a full-time job to do that.
And who's out?
10 minutes of bike time a day.
And who's out there with you helping?
Spend a lot of time with Benny and Tommy Richards.
Yeah.
We kind of ride together, and it's good because they're young and hungry and push me too, and I can try and share wisdom and where I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a whole lot.
There is. They'll dip into some.
Yeah.
They'll dip into
They'll
some
find
good stuff.
something.
And so you'll be like just locked in for a couple of months. And what are you doing in the other times?
The other times I do base jumping. Started skydiving, and then the whole sky thing started off. I started my license like 10 years ago because I was doing, when I was on those Crusty Nitro tours.
Yeah.
I always thought, how cool would it be to fly from Wagga? Because I always had to drive an hour to the airport to Wagga, an hour out of Wagga, then get on a Wagga flight, then fly to Sydney
Yeah.
to go anywhere. So it was 3 flights a weekend, and I thought, how cool would it be to get in your own plane and then just go wherever you want to go. And then I started my license probably 10 years ago, and it took me years to get it because I kept doing little bits and then stopping. And
What's involved in getting your license?
it's pretty easy. You got to do 25. I think it's 25 hours. I got started off with a recreational license, and it's called RAOs in Australia. So you do 25 hours, and then you get pretty much you got your license. So you could do it in 2 weeks. It took me 5 years because I'd go in, and it took me like 65 hours to get my license because I would get to the point. Like I went there and started flying solo, got that all done really quickly, and then I'd just go do something else and lose interest, and then probably took me a couple of years, and then lose interest and do something else. I get excited and fixated on 50 different things at once, unfortunately. And so it took me a while to get that done. And then
And so how did you started just the 25 hours is like actual flying hours with like an instructor or?
Yeah, with an instructor. Oh, it's 10 hours with an instructor and then 15 by yourself.
Fuck, that does not seem like enough time with an instructor.
Yeah. I don't know how many hours I did before solo. It was about that. No, maybe it's more. It's probably more hours with an instructor than that. It's probably 20 out of the 25 are with an instructor. But you go solo. You can go solo in like 8 or out like pretty early on.
Wow.
And then the guy I did my instructor. He's a good fellow, a friend. He's not flying anymore. He was a little older at the time, and he would go up together, and he'd just take the newspaper up, and we'd just talk shit up there. He'd just be reading the newspaper. He's the biggest legend, and he built a plane called a Vans RV7, and he said, when you get a plane, you've got to buy an RV, because he built one. And then, so as soon as I finished my license, I went and bought an RV, and then
what are they? What's a plane worth?
It's about 150 for that thing, and so it's kind of like a entry. It's a good. You can do mild aerobatics in it, and you can do
mild aerobatics.
Like they're not super strong, but they're strong enough to do a loop and a roll. So then, I didn't have my. I got the RV, and then I didn't have my. I need to get my medical done because you got to have a medical once you get your license. But I bought the plane before
the medical.
I had finished the license, bought it before I had the medical, and then I did my aerobatics like thing straight away because I always knew. Because when I went up with Greg, the old guy, we did it. He took me for a roll, and I'd done 25 hours of straight and level in a plane, and then he took me up and we did a roll straight away at first flight, and I was like, we're doing more of this. So then
this is me.
Got a guy.
Do you know who I am? I'm the roll guy.
Yeah, the roll guy. So I flew a guy down to do my aerobatics, flew him down to Wagga, and then I banged that out in a couple of days.
So what's involved in that?
They take you up. They do a lot of spinning. So if you go up, like they put you in a lot of unusual attitudes and recoveries. So you go up and you've got to close your eyes or put a hood on, and then they'll make the plane like put it in a spin just to make sure you can recover from everything and then know where you are in an unusual attitude. Like, so if you all of a sudden you're pointing at the ground, what do you do? Do you push? Do you pull to miss everything? And I went and did that before I had my actual plane license. So I'd done, and then my first flights that I look back on it now and I'm like, what were you doing? What were you doing? Because my first flights, I'd go up in this thing, home built airplane, go up to 5,000 feet and just let the thing spin and do. And I had like bugger all experience, and I started doing all that stuff, and then I met a friend, and then I went on to do I built hours in that, and then I went on to do my private license, so I didn't have to do any more time with an instructor. I just had to do a check ride.
So what's a private license?
It's like
you just fly for yourself.
Yeah, then you can fly like bigger planes up to, whereas I was capped at 1,500 kilo plane size, then you can fly up to 5,700 kilos, like much bigger like planes. And then I went on to do I did my commercial license through COVID.
Oh yeah.
When I was in hotel quarantine, I started a subject in there because I was bored as. It was like,
dude, I
was actually studying. I wasn't getting fucked up the whole time.
I forgot about that, bro.
That wasn't good for my brain, but I actually punched it. It's 7 subjects for
you won Instagram. You have the COVID Instagram title. That was loose.
Yeah, it was pretty.
We'll get on that after.
We'll get on that. It was pretty hard though doing the study because I'm not
You don't like school.
Yeah, but this is like doing the commercial license in Australia is pretty in depth. It's like you can do it at uni over.
Really?
Yeah, you can do it. So I went and did that, but I self-studied it all. So I was it took me about a year and a half. I just did in my spare time a lot of reading, a lot of books, understanding stuff, and I finished that.
So what do you need to know?
It's just everything about. It's like you've got human factors, which is like your body and like your ears, if your eyes are closed, how your brain knows where you are in space. There's just a whole lot of shit. What foods do. It's very in depth.
Really?
CPL is, yeah. And then there's air law. I failed that a couple of times about what you can and can't. I failed that and it's open book. The air law one is you can take in the rule book and I still failed it. Performance. The performance was the hardest one for me because it was I'm good with pretty good at maths, so I can do numbers in my head really fast. But with performance, it's like you're calculating fuel usage with reserve or how far can you go with that headwind, that
With
crosswind,
winds
what's
and
your ground speed.
Yeah.
And I've got I've got dyslexia where you write the stuff backwards.
Yeah.
And I failed it. I was like, how the fuck did I fail that? I got everything perfectly right, and then I figured out that I was writing, even doing test exams when I was failing them. And I'd go back through and I'd always write, like I'd have just the
Rewrite
numbers
it the right way.
messed up. So then I figured out to write the answer down, cross it out, write it again and see if it's the same one. And then I was fine. And then navigation. So you just learn about how to navigate. I've forgotten everything anyway, but you just learn how to do like.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's good. Good life skills. And then performance, meteorology. So you learn about weather. Different weather systems do what's going to cause what.
Yeah.
And then whatever the other ones are.
And so the first plane you got, you had to build it yourself.
No, so I bought a home built. It was built by someone else.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I thought you built it.
No, sorry, it was a home build. But Greg, the guy, had built one. My instructor, he'd built one, and then he sold it. And then this other guy built one, and then I bought it from him. And then I went into did that, and then I bought a pits. I met a guy who's a very, very close friend now, AJ from Chuka. I spoke to him to do in our X Games Real Moto. I jumped over a red pits there.
Yeah.
And then AJ came and did that, and then he's from Chuka, so I've been flying down there every other weekend. We hang out all the time at home and done a lot of flying together, and then I found a pits like his, which is like a bi-wing aerobatic plane.
Yeah.
And I bought the same as the one in Moto. What are they in that old Moto game that was on the computer that you used to play at school?
Oh.
Remember those, or Unleashed? I don't know. It was in one of those old movies and they had the red plane.
Oh,
Yeah, anyway.
I know the one you're talking about, but
Yeah.
not the game. Yeah.
We would do, and then we started flying together. Started flying in that. They're renowned to be an extremely hard plane to fly, and you normally go in a 2-seat pits before you fly one. You do like 10 or 15 hours, and before you fly one. And I bought this one off a guy that I knew.
Raw dogged it.
He dropped it off, and I went down the runway, and I'm not going to tell them the secrets here because I'll get in trouble. But pretty much just raw dog the thing straight up, and loved it. And I spent a fair bit of time in that.
Was it easy for you to fly?
No, it's hard. It's difficult. But it was fine. Again, having the brain where you can focus when you need to, I think that
Did
mindset.
you have sketchy moments?
Yeah, for sure.
Fuck.
There's a couple of, and this thing was old. It's like, it was built, my first one was built in the probably 70s or something. So it's a pretty old plane. Like the whole fuselage was oxy welded together. Like she was an old girl. And I took that up, and then I learned to do all of the more advanced aerobatics, I guess. Learned to do them by myself went up and did I'd never done inverted spinning before or anything. And I remember going up in these are the old pits, and I'm like, all right, let's try it. And I put that thing in a couple of, got it, and doing flick rolls and stuff where you, all aerobatic stuff that won't make much sense, but doing them the first time. I remember putting it in they're renowned if you get everything in the stick in the left corner, full left foot and full throttle. They they get in a spot where you can't. They'll start inverted spinning and they won't come out with the stick. Like you can't. Once that prop, the gyro of the prop holds the thing in its spin. So when it's full throttle, you'll be moving the stick trying to make the thing stop tumbling, but it'll just keep tumbling. It just makes it worse.
And then the more throttle, the worse it'd be.
Yeah. And so I remember that, and I was in there one time, and the thing wound up and just started spinning like a motherfucker. And I was thinking, how the fuck? And I started to get like a look down and went to go for my buckles because you always wear a parachute in one of them. And I was about to jump out of the thing, and then I remembered, throttle, pull throttle. But it's like a big I've learned in a way that's I've learned everything. Like AJ coached me through on the radio, and had a lot of people in my corner that have helped teach me what to do. And it's been an accelerated program. I've kind of, I still don't know everything, and I've got a lot to learn, but didn't do a whole lot of time in that thing.
That's so wild, dude. I remember hearing from people like, bro, Jacko's flying this fucking trick plane, and I'm just like, nah, I'm out.
It's so fun. It's, you just got to be careful too. You can't fly to the edge of the sky, as AJ always told me. And then we did formation aerobatics. So that's where you go. We fly in a 3-ship. So, AJ leads and Jonesy and I've been on the wings, and that's very rewarding flying. You're like 6 foot away from another plane doing 300 Ks an hour, more 400 Ks an hour, going straight up, and it's just sick flying. Like you're looking out the window and you've got to just keep the picture of where you start the same, and you going through like doing a heap. It's very difficult stuff, but it's so rewarding. And when you're up there in a single seat doing arrows by yourself, it's good fun. But when there's 3 of you in single seats, it's like racing around a motocross track together, and you come back and it's sick to talk about.
Yeah, dude.
Like, moto. And AJ's taught me everything, been so good. And he's a moto background as well. He's raced Fink a couple of years. Oh, really? So it's pretty sick.
Yeah, I feel like flying is the kind of, it's just its own thing in terms of like people that do it. It's like a full boys club of guys that if you've done the time and if you do a certain type of flying, like there's not that many of yous.
Yeah, and it's like the aerobatics is a boys club. You have most of the pilots out there are nerds too. Like there's a lot of people that are like you probably wouldn't, but there's obviously the aerobatic side, and there's a really strong, like a really good group of people in that area. I think it's pretty sick. Breath of fresh air. Normally, like when I started flying and you go to airports and you meet other pilots, that's not what I envisioned my life. Not the people that I'd have a beer with in the afternoon. Generally.
Yeah.
But the group that I've got in there now is a solid group of good humans that are just like, AJ lives on the Murray River, and we drink beers all night, and it's the same as the moto world, but just the same good people that moto has in that area. So
just in a kind of different
scene,
lane.
But it feels like the motocross, the dirt bike world.
Yeah, and there's a thing that you go like I can imagine when you're doing the aero flying, like the formation stuff, like there's just a bond and a friendship you get with people that you do real gnarly shit with.
There is, and you always
it's be the same in freestyle.
When males are scared together, you do build a bond together. I think or not scared, but when everyone's like in that same, you feel the same energy. You've got the same shit's going through your mind.
Yeah. Do you think what do you want to do with flying after? Like, obviously,
I'm going to fly in the Pacific Air Show in so I went from there and I spent 4 years, about 5,000 hours building a new plane, the same as AJ, because AJ built his. And then...
so you've built it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a plans build. So it's built from built from plans. It's not like a kit.
Yeah, right.
So you don't buy the parts. Like you don't buy the fuselage parts to weld together. You buy chrome moly in a length, and it says cut it this long, do that. So I built
no shit.
There was a guy in WA that built 2 of these things, and he didn't finish. He built one, but he bought materials and everything for 2 and started the second one. So then I bought that project off him in like all the materials, and then because AJ convinced me to do it. He's like, you should build a new one because I had a pretty shit one and I wanted a new one, and they're kind of hard to buy. And I wanted to build it how I wanted it, and he built his, and then so then I bought that project, and then I finished doing that. And I would have spent 4,000 or 5,000 hours on it. I think
Really?
a lot of work. Like, and I learn a lot too.
I was going to say that you probably learned so much by building your own plane.
Yeah, and there's and just about how things work, how things fly, making everything fail safe. Like, there's a lot of it's my new plane's a wooden wing and fabric covered, and like when I first got it, when I was first like looking at it, like, why the fuck would you build the wings out of wood? But then it's like when you see the fatigue life of wood's much better than if you're using any other thing super strong and a good material. Like, obviously it's carbon fiber that might be better than that, but wood's tried, tested. Everything in aviation is kind of written in blood. There's a certain way that things are done, and it's hard to deviate from, like, if it's tried and tested, not many people deviate from it. But
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because the consequences for testing are just too much.
yeah, it's like we still run the same engine that was in like coming IO 540s, 540 cubic inch horizontally opposed 6-cylinder boxer engine that has been in aircraft since the 50s, and we still have the exact same engine. Like, I had to just buy a new engine for my thing because I did test flying in it and the engine was shit, so I bought a new one. And it sucks because you're spending a lot of cash just for an engine's like going to be, for a secondhand engine, going to be that's decent, between 50 and 100 grand at least.
Wow.
And it's like just this thing that's the same as it was in the 50s, but it's just because they work.
They just got thousands and thousands of hours.
And they're so tested that
Yep.
you don't want to run anything else, because these things, like, they might not have the most technology that's in, like, you're running 2 magnetos and spark. Like, it's not like a modern thing, but it's just so tested. So it'd be interesting.
Just like a big old Cummins diesel. It's just like never, there's just never.
Yeah, it's the same size piston as a Cat C15. Like, they're
really.
Yeah, they're 540 cubic inch 6-cylinder, so massive displacement, because they've got a rev below at about 3,000 RPM. A prop the size of the prop will break the sound barrier, and then a propeller becomes inefficient. So that's why there's such big displacement because they've got you want to make all your power at sort of 2,800 RPM.
So once you get to 3,000 RPM,
the speed of the prop is going to break the sound barrier. So Mach 1, because the prop's bigger than the center of the crank. And once the tip of the prop breaks the sound barrier, it becomes inefficient. That's why if they run more modern engines in some planes, or turbines that are spinning quicker, they've got to have a gearbox on there to get efficiency out of the prop.
I'd never. I mean, not that I guess I shouldn't have ever thought of that, but that makes a lot of sense. Something I would have never thought about. You'd sort of just think you'd want to keep like better.
Yeah, I know, but everything's kind of stagnant, and it's annoying in that world too.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to see some. I did a fair few things that were left of field on the new plane, and so it's good. It's I'm actually flying it in the Pacific Air Show with AJ and Jonesy on the August 18th. So I've got like a month to get, and I've got to get through stage 1 testing.
Yeah.
And that's another 25 hours, and I've only done about an hour in it so far.
So you got to just put hours on the plane.
Yeah, put hours on and get back up to speed. I haven't flown formation aerobatics in 12 months.
So how long per flight are you going to do while you're in testing? Is it the kind of thing where you don't want to fly for hours at a time, or like?
The last 2 I just went up and did a quick flight, but my engine was dog shit. I shouldn't have bought it off Marketplace.
Did you legit buy a plane engine off Marketplace?
I legit bought, because I needed an engine to see to build the plane around, kind of like I needed one to fit the cowling and set everything up. And 4 years ago, I didn't want to go spend 100 grand or 150 grand for a new one until I had the plane done. So I bought one. I think I still paid like 20 grand or something for it, because I thought that it would be good and I'd be able to rebuild it. I was just going to buy that core and rebuild it, but then I got it and then realized that it was dog shit, that you can't rebuild it. And then at that point I was like, fuck it, I'll try the thing and see if it works. And then took it up, and the power wasn't there that it needed. I actually bought it off the police. Someone bought it from a police auction, and it was in a drug running plane that came in to Perth, and the police got it, and they chop all the plane up and scrap everything, and then sell it at a police auction. So someone probably made some cash out of me on the way through.
That's fucking unreal that
And
you
then
ended up with a drug plane engine.
I thought about it afterwards too. I was like, oh, fuck, that's a funny story. And then I thought about it afterwards, and I was thinking, you dickhead. Because the logbook said it only had 500 hours, and it's pretty beat. And I was thinking, you dickhead, they're running drugs like as if they're going to be writing in the logbook how many hours they're doing. I just thought I got the buy of the century, but anyway, I didn't.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult.
Surely these criminals kept it up to date.
Yeah, surely the shitbags left to put every hour in there. So then I was thinking, so I've got a lot of hours to do over the next month. I'm going to be busy you normally just go up. When I'm flying aeros for training, practicing, normally go up sort of 15-minute flight and back down. So I'm going to be looking at doing 4 15-minute flights of practice a day over the next month if I want to get to this air show, which I might not be able to make it, but we'll see.
And so what will you do in the air show? Just like a bit of a routine kind of thing?
Yeah, we'll do formation aeros in there. So we'll do a formation aerobatic display. We've actually got a couple of wingsuiting friends on Gold Coast. Jeff Weatherall.
Yeah.
So Jeff's coming down on the after the I think on the 10th or something of July, and we're going to do some testing with the wingsuiting and see if we can fly the planes down next to the wingsuiters and like roll around them in the planes. So
wow,
that'll be sick.
So before, when you said you were going to jump out of the plane, like you're literally wearing a parachute.
Yeah, wear a parachute in there.
And then there's no like eject button, like, and then you get flying out. Like you'd have to like unbuckle your seatbelt, fucking jump over the side, try not to hit the tail.
Yeah, I get the thing open. And I've hit the tail of a plane before, but that's another story that I can't talk about here. The
way too public.
Way too public. The and it's difficult to get out. It's got the canopy. It's difficult to open in flight. I actually took the canopy off that and left it off.
Just in case.
Just in summertime because it was such sick weather at home in the afternoon. And you can fly it. I flew it down to a Echuca with the canopy off, and you can like set the throttle, put your hands out the side of it, and you can steer with your hands because they're that small. It's so sick.
Fuck.
Such a fun old plane, that thing. But the new one's a weapon. It should be sick. Also, yeah.
That's insane.
It's like, literally, they're that small, and they're honestly like being on a motocross or supercross track. It's like it's 10 times more responsive than a dirt bike. It's so sick. Love it.
It's just it's such a cool passion to like find yourself. Like you probably never really thought you'd fly, or maybe growing up on the farm.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it too much when I was younger, but yeah, just I don't know, get excited on things and then you can't stop.
Yeah, but it just fits your personality though, you know. Like it's probably just ticks all the boxes of like gnarly as fuck, real consequences. You can do tricks, and you can work on it yourself.
Yeah, you can build it yourself. I kept the RV that I've got as well is great for touring. Like the partner, Mrs. and I, if we go away on the weekend, like it's so good because we can go, like we fly down Tassie for the weekend, which you wouldn't do. Like I'll go to Echuca for the night. Like it's only 40 minutes. So what's a 4-hour drive? It's like not even an hour flight. It's like for me to go over to the coast, it takes me like an hour, and it's just easy. I find myself you do so much more with your life. Like aviation's been great.
Well, someone said that to me about, I think it was Mick Newen, because he's in like the private plane business, you know, and he's like, you're not buying a plane, you're buying a time travel machine. Yeah,
you saving the amount of time you save, unless you're dumb enough to build one, the amount of time you save is incredible.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to have a leak break.
Yeah. No.
I'll be quick.
Yeah, I'll actually go as well.
Yeah.
But where'd we leave off?
Flying, air show, and then base jumping.
Yeah. So we were talking about just like the time you saved. With flying.
Saved so much time with flying. It was it's just good. It was also good for me too because I had to do. It's good for like planning, and I'm a pretty sporadic person. I'm not a very good planner about like I was often late to things. And it was just good. it's good for a person to do because everything's on time, everything's
By
exact,
a logbook, it's
everything's by a
detailed.
logbook, everything's maintained right. Like, and that was good for me because I was the opposite of that, I think.
Naturally.
So it's been good to just good life skills that I've learnt the whole way throughout.
Yeah. It's fucking good.
I'd recommend it to anyone that's even a young person. Like, it's not super expensive to get into. You can get your license Australia. You're looking at 25 hours, 200. I think you can do it in 20 hours, $200 an hour. Is what it used to be. It's probably a bit more now. So it's like pretty much under like 10 grand. You're gonna be away flying by yourself, and it's a good. Even if you went and learnt to fly and then didn't do it again, it's still. I think it's still a valuable thing.
Yeah, and
like if you had the resources and your kid was 16 and they're interested in it, it would be a good thing to do, I think.
I remember being a kid when we used to go up on like the stations and stuff when we went up north and just seeing helicopters, and I was like dead set I was going to get my pilot's license when I was a young fella.
I'm starting my heli license on the 8th.
Yeah, how different? You've got to do your pilot license first in Australia, don't you?
No,
or it's completely separate.
Yeah, it's separate. Yeah. Where was the station at?
Oh, just all over.
Yeah.
Like, because all we did when we were kids, like, that was the only holiday we did was we'd go up north and go hunting and fishing on stations.
Yeah, I love it.
So, yeah, I just saw, like, pig shooting out of helicopters and mustering in 44s. And then when I got into filming, there was heaps of helis again.
Yeah,
like, I've done so much time in a helicopter.
Yeah, sick.
But I just don't, that want to fly started to go away when I was in them because I just fucking don't know that I could trust myself.
Yeah, we might do something dumb. Everyone's got those thoughts. We've got I want to go shooting at it. We pay a guy at the family farm at Wagga. We've had a guy in there shooting pigs because we've got a really big pig problem up there.
In your farm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they got 450 pigs in 2 hours.
I believe
the other day. It's insane. It's like just tonk, like, yeah. They
Oh,
got two shooters in there. They come down after 2 hours because they need to get ammo and give the shooter, need to get fuel, ammo, and give the shooter a break. There's that many pigs the other day. They said they left the bullets, all the ammo on the ground at the fuel truck. And when they came back down to fuel up, the pigs had eaten the ammo. Like, the ammo was everywhere. They got it out of the box. It's such a big feral pig problem in.
Oh, man, it's wild, eh? That's literally all we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
We just go up and then Dad and
Pagan.
the boys, and we'd be in like, you'd have like the cut off fucking troopy, just everyone's out the side, fucking grenades and shit, like just blowing these fucking things up.
Oh, I love it.
Speaking of blowing things up, when did you blow yourself up?
I've blown myself up a few times.
Wait, can we just acknowledge that on the podcast I just said, speaking of blowing things up, when did you blow yourself up? You're the only person I've ever been able to say that to.
It was a stroke of midnight on 2012 into 2013, I think it was. So I'd got a couple of medals, pretty successful career before that. And then my friend and I had a show down at the cricket at Marvel Stadium, or Etihad, whatever it was called back then, a few days later. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to go out to the pubs tonight or go be with the rowdy scene on New Year's. The boys. Because we will, because I want to stay focused, and I've got a real rubber arm at that point in my life when it came to, I just removed myself
when it
from
came
the situation.
To
the boys, and then a real boy, and then so my missus at the time, one of my close friends, and his missus, we stayed at the farm, and then we ended up drinking too much there, and then we were the subject of fireworks came up, like Sydney having a good fireworks show. We didn't have one, so I said, hang on a minute. And I found...
Hold my beer.
I had a pound of black gunpowder in the shed, and I found these old... cleaning out an old shed. There used to be... used to use like gelignite, dynamite, to blow trees and stuff out back in the farming days. And I found a thing of this old box of explosive detonators. So then I put the explosive detonator in the like a pipe bomb, I guess. So you can put whatever you want in there. Black gunpowder works good. And then I made a really big one with but I didn't have any explosive dets. left because I used them all the week before. They didn't last long. They're pretty hot property. Oh, I had a cannon. I used them in the cannon that I built. The cannon was fucking sick. You could shoot trees down with it. Anyway, I used I used all the debts, and then the only thing I had for primary charge to set it off, or whatever you call it, the first bang, was a acetylene.
The first bang.
I just got acetylene because I'd made a lot of acetylene bombs when I was young. I always loved blowing things up, and then I used acetylene, and then I took it up dug this hole in the side of the landing, all nice and safe. And my friend and I put it in there, and then had to drill a earth wire into it because I put acetylene in the top. So to set off, I thought, I'll just put a wire in the top. I'd done stuff like this many, many, many times. Put screw an earth wire to a steel casing, put a wire in the top, then long wire, hide down the other side of the hill, set off bit of earth out, set acetylene off, and blow the thing up. And I had to drill. It had a base plate on it. I had to drill a earth wire into it, and I was drinking. And
this is like a full thing. That you're just doing on the piss, basically.
Yeah, and
like
I've
there's
learned
a lot going on.
Quick disclaimer here. I never said I was smart.
We've learnt from this,
yeah,
but this is the story.
This is how I can try and educate younger people to not do things when you're drinking, and B, always think. Anyway, and the acetylene's a heavy gas and it sinks. We used to put it down rabbit holes when I was younger, and then do the same thing with the rabbit hole, put a wire down there and blow the rabbit holes up when there's a rabbit problem. Not painting a good picture for myself here, am I?
You live on a farm in Wagga. This is just the reality of it.
It is. You've got to wait till you see thousands of rabbits with myxomatosis, and you'll see that they'd rather be blown up. So
what's myxomatosis?
Oh, it's a disease they brought into Australia to kill the rabbits, eats their eyes out, and then they starve to death. Like, it's brutal.
Fuck.
So it's humane. Do things and not doing it to hurt animals, doing it because you have to do that stuff on a farm. Don't enjoy hurting animals, as a disclaimer.
But even like just the kangaroo problem and pig problem,
you do have to shoot. I raised a kangaroo from the size of like this big, the size of a smaller than a 1 litre milk carton, from bottle fed it 3 times a night to 6 years old until it disappeared. But love animals, but I do have to shoot.
Yeah, being on a farm, you have to do things. Yeah.
Well, you have to do things. Anyway, this thing drilled it in. Back to the story. The brain's going around in circles. The acetylene sunk down out of a crack in the weld that I welded up to get any of the brushes in the drill. Set it off. I was kneeling on top of it. Bang! I was sitting on top of the landing. Lifted me up, blew me off the land. There's a ramp at 50 foot, and I remember I didn't get knocked out the whole time, but went down, landed on the landing. My leg was pretty blown off, like the whole thing. My chest, I got hundreds of stitches through my chest. I had metal go through this eye. I lost this, so I couldn't see. Can
you see out of it now?
Yep. I got it fixed. I was so lucky. You've got your retina and your cornea. I can't remember which is front one. I should know from my pilot stuff, but a bit of metal went through, missed the front one, important one, went through, back one, missed that. And then I got blown like 50 foot away on the ground, and I was bleeding out on the ground. And then you could see like my femoral was sitting there, artery in my leg was right there, like it was thick as fuck. Looks like that. I lost 90% of my thigh. And then bleeding out, my friend's missus took a shirt off, and we tied it off. And then I got put in the front of there's no time to call an ambulance at that point. You got to think on your feet. My girlfriend at the time got in the car. I remember I had my leg out the window, and the car was just doing 180 k's through the main street, like as fast as the car would go through town. Got to the hospital, rang the thing, and I was I was cut, like proper just shrapnel. I was pulling shrapnel out for 5 years later.
Really?
Yeah, you can still see on my leg here, there's black spots everywhere in certain spots. That's still, it's gunpowder under my skin that's stuck everywhere, riddled with just bits of metal. I was pulling big chunks of metal out of my chest, out of everywhere for years later. And I remember I went in, we hit the button on the thing, like the
emergency button, yeah.
And the nurses came out and saw one look and ran back inside. Like, everyone was freaked out. I remember the policeman came up and saw me, like, sitting in the front of the car, and I was screaming at him. I was saying, "Give me a fucking belt," because I was bleeding out. I was like, "Give me a fucking belt," because I was trying to tie it off. and everyone was just freaked out. And then I got in an ambulance and got fixed up. But also like that was a point of, I remember at that point when that happened that I got a weird feeling of people talk about doing like the drug DMT, and I've never done that and I don't plan on it, but they say that you have like an out of body experience. So I remember like I had a brief out of body experience, closed my eyes, saw my family, saw everything that was important, and then kind of boom, I was back. And I think at that point, that's what your brain releases when you die or when you actually think that you're going to die.
Yeah.
And I think I was at that point where you truly are on the edge of like the other side. And then I was like, fuck, got to fix this shit quick. And then, I was able to get through that. And I kept the whole thing quiet. I remember calling Deegan in hospital, and I kind of told him what happened, told a few people that were really close. And then, because I was like, my career had just blown up at that point in time. And then I felt like such a dickhead afterwards. I was like, fuck, you got to get your shit together. Like, you've just ended your career from being a fucking dickhead, doing something like that you shouldn't have been doing. And I kept it quiet. And I remember Mateus, who was my rockstar, was with those guys back then.
Yeah.
And I remember no one really knew about it. And I remember he was watching me ride at Deegan's one time, because I went back over to Deegan's not long after, because I got the lens removed out of my eye, so I had zero vision in one eye for a long time. I remember I went back over and started riding pretty quick. Like I couldn't walk for a month, and then I walked out of hospital, and then I got straight back on the bike, but I only had one eye, so my depth perception was out. Like you can close an eye and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But when you've got one eye for a long time.
Yeah.
But I could still hit a 75 ramp because I knew much time it was on the in run. I knew the feel of the ramp. So I just made sure I stood up early and kind of knew what to do. And when I was doing flips, I knew what that feel of the ramp was like. I did everything off feel more than vision. And I remember when Steve was there one day and he came and saw me ride and he saw my leg and he's like, what the fuck happened to you? And I kept the whole thing quiet because I didn't want to lose my career. I found out what was important at that point in time.
Yeah.
And I think that gave me a whole lot of drive too. Like it was a couple months, I think it was like 5 or 6 months later. I was a bit of a runner before that. And then I did a marathon after that because it made me want to run and train harder and be better than before, because I kind of nearly had everything taken away from me being a dickhead, I guess. So it made me train harder and be better than I could. Like I was told I would never walk again. Told I was going to lose my leg and then I'd never walk again. So then it makes you hungrier to do those things. And that was a pretty big moment in my life, I think.
100%, man.
To make, like, it's a good character building exercise, and probably wouldn't change it, you know. If obviously there's a lot of time, a lot of bad low point in my life, but those points are the ones that build you into being a better person.
Yeah,
I guess. And it was good. Yeah, it's just lucky that my friend got a skin graft on his leg as well. He was lucky, I guess, but it's one of those points in
you
life.
probably would have rather take the majority of it though.
Oh
right?
yeah, I was laying on top of it, like kneeling over it. So it was yeah. I remember seeing the thing when it happened. I remember the metal going, the pipe bomb. I remember the whole thing just going, thunk, getting big, and then it just went, and I was like, "Fuck, here we go."
Dude, so you legit just went flying through the air.
Flying, like lifted, flying. It was it was a gnarly thing, but it was one of those. Yeah, I don't know. You learn a lot. They say you learn when you're fighting for your life or you're hungry is a good time. Like how the male human mind works from instincts, and you really take life lessons when you think you're gonna. Yeah.
Have you spoke to Deegan about that point where you were like thought you were about to die? Because he's got a similar kind of story around.
Yeah, I have spoke to him about it a bunch. It's like, yeah, when you get to that point, it's yeah, he was there right the whole way through my recovery. He helped me through.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, it was gnarly. And then I came back. Took me a few years. I had a lot of crashes after that at X Games for a couple of years. I crashed out of a lot of events. And I think that's because I was too hungry.
Yeah,
And
too
then I
keen.
just went too fucking hard.
Yep.
And I think you've got to, I've learned that over the years. Like, it's easy to go too hard. If you want something too much, you won't get it. You've got to let the sometimes the more you want something,
Yeah.
the worse it is.
Yeah, and you got to want it for the right reason.
Yeah. I just had too much dog in me at that point. I was,
Fuck, man, I cannot imagine just that drive to the hospital and that, like seeing your leg fucking blown off and just blood everywhere, and like that's a war scene,
Yeah, it is. I remember you say things like I said my goodbyes and stuff a little bit.
Really?
On the way you do. And that's a pivotal moment in someone's life, probably.
Yeah.
And
So
just lucky from that I was able to get through it, and
So what changed? Like, I don't know. Yeah, outlook on life. Like, obviously you knew what was important to you, but
know what's important, and then know that like you're not here for long. Things can change quick, so do what you want to do and chase it. Don't give up on shit. Just fucking nothing's kind of promised. You've got to make the most of what you've got. And being, I guess, having I wouldn't call it a disability, but being like you shows you how much like your mind's the most important thing. Having lost most of one leg and not as much strength in one leg, I gained 10,000% in my outlook on life by knowing you don't. The most important thing's up here than it is everywhere else, I think.
fuck, that's such a violent experience.
Yeah.
Like,
but again,
traumatic.
the violent ones are the ones where you learn, where you need to learn what you need to go through to get to. So
see how, remember when I was saying, like, if the world ends, I'm going to your house?
we'll make a pipe bomb and go together.
That's not what I was getting at. You've got the ability to do a lot of fucking gnarly shit that's going to get us through. Like, you've kind of fucking been to war, you know, like in so many scenarios. Like the
Best Trick honestly feels like a battlefield going to those events. It is. It's a war without a purpose. It is a purpose.
But there is an element of, like, there is an element of that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it's a war without the traumatic side of having to go through the experiences that those people do that have to fight for a country, which I wouldn't want to have to do.
Yeah. Can you see, like, fuck, I don't know what the question is here, but it's like, you're in those scenarios, like, I've never been in a situation like that, but I've been in some fucking gnarly situations that, like, real serious consequences, like real serious shit going down, and like it's a different reality.
Yeah,
it's
boom,
like a
everything
very
that's real, your
hei-
brain
it's
ticks
very
into something else.
heightened.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
It's where I feel most at home.
I was gonna say you're super alive. Like, when I was a kid, I crashed a bike and I put the handlebars through my stomach, and I was in the back of a car throwing up blood and shit, and that was like one of those things where everyone's freaking out, like you're gonna die, you know, and you get in those situations, and like it's a very weird fucking place to be. And I was very young though, so I don't think I took everything.
Yeah, you would have taken a lot away from it. It builds you into where you are now.
Yeah, but I think, like, being an adult though, like going through something like that and just having way more perspective.
Yeah, lucky I got the brain of a 6-year-old.
yeah, we were both sick that. But it's like, I don't know, there's something to it, and yeah, maybe it does just bring you to the reality of like how real life is, because just the average person that doesn't do that shit, that's not going to war, that's not at risk of fucking exploding themselves or crashing a plane, or like, you can kind of go through life with this false sense of security that you're like invincible.
Yeah.
And then it's going to last forever. But I feel like there is something that comes from...
I wake up scared as fuck every day because I'm normally doing so... Or not scared, but I do have a...
There's consequences to all
There's
the
a lot
shit
of consequences with everything, and I'm aware of that. And I do everything now. Everything I do, I give myself... I make the the biggest series of educated decisions that I can with what I know to do everything as safe as I can. And I know that it's not foolproof and
Yeah.
shit can happen, but I enjoy doing it, and I make sure that I try and cross every T and dot every I that I can to make things as safe as I can.
And like going through that though, did you get any? Was there any reluctance to throw yourself off the edge the way that you do?
No, well,
Like, did it slow you down or not really?
no, it made me go harder, I think, because
Because you knew that there's only one go around.
yeah, there's only one go around. Just try and make the make the most of what you can, because yeah, it's not we don't have that much. Like, we're a fucking drop in the speck of sand in the on the beach in comparison to what the universe is, how long we've been here, what everything is. It's like we're just this is our time, so make it count.
Yeah. And when did you get into base jumping and all of this?
So I got
Or
into
skydiving and then base jumping and
as soon as I got my plane license, the cook and I flew to Maruya because we were going to a family thing at Bateman's Bay. We flew over to Maruya, and I put my plane down there, and there's a massive storm rolling in, and I forgot all my tie down shit for the plane and all the cover for it because of the person that I am, and I and there's this guy at the airport, and he saw me, and he's like, "You want to put your plane in my hangar because it's about to get blown away?" And I was like, "Thank you." And then it ended up being the OG skydive guy from Australia, Paul Smith. Pooh is his nickname. And then we were kind of good mates from then on. And I was talking to him about flying stuff and kind of interested in skydiving, but never really interested in it. And then I was Harry and I were in X Games China years ago, and we said after China we're going to go to Maruya and do our skydive license. And we went and did our skydive license, and then I just became good friends with everyone at the drop zone. I was good friends with Pooh and
like-minded people, I'm sure.
Like-minded people, they are same sort of same as the aerobatic world, same as the dirt bike world.
Just
again,
a little bit loose.
Yeah, all just good
love
people.
and life.
Yeah, people that have just love life. So it was started skydiving, and then I just finished my skydive license. Went to Winter X Games, and then Cody Matichuk, a monster guy. I was road tripping with him back to California. I bought an RV when I sold my house, and we all went in my RV. Him and Rory Bushfield, another monster guy who's a good friend, absolute legend. We stopped through Moab Desert, and Cody was a base jumper, and he was doing a base jump, and I'd only had like 10, 15 skydives, and I was like, oh, can I remember I was begging him. I was like, oh, I really want to do a base jump. Can I jump off the cliff? Can I jump off the cliff? And then they were finally, he's like, okay, we'll piece out. You can jump off. You'll be fine. You can do it. And then I was thinking, like, but then looking back on it, it's funny because you're like begging someone to get you into something that's so dangerous. And you got to remember that people don't give a fuck. Like, they do care, obviously, if you go in, but it's your life. And it's funny though.
Yeah, you're in like a weird
begging
crowd
to
that's
do
like
something really dumb about these people that are these people that are fucking gnarly.
Yeah. To people that are like down to do the super dumb thing.
That are like, you're begging to do something dumb to people that want to do fucking dumb things. And then and then as soon as I jumped up first cliff, then that was it. I was base jumping then. And then I skydived a little bit more, and then I got into base, and then I've done a ton of base, probably a couple hundred base jumps now, probably more. I lost my logbook early in because of the person that I am, and so I don't know how many. I've done a lot though, and a lot of trips around the world. Every time I go somewhere to do dirt bike things, take a base rig, go jump off something when I'm there. Snuck into many illegal places and
allegedly,
but I've base jumped some shit in my hometown that people see on the daily that have no idea that anyone's base, and it's funny. I always get a kick out of it when they
like
say
your own little secret.
Yeah, my own little secrets. We're like driving past and like, oh fuck yeah, I jumped off that. It's just a cool thing. And we're actually getting these big power towers, Snowy Hydro 2, that's going from Snowy Hydro to Adelaide, goes through our farm, and it's like on the end of my airstrip, and everyone else on the whole line, all the farmers, everyone's like, oh, we don't
Blowing up
want
about
those
it.
tails.
Yeah.
And they're 80 meters. So I'm like, yeah, put them in. I've got 7 base jumps in the front yard by the time I get home, hopefully.
Dude, that's unreal.
Yeah, so it's good. It's fun. It's a good group of people. Like there's something about when you're standing on the top of a building or on the top of something and you're with people, everyone gets the same. Everyone's very level because everyone can, especially in the early days when you don't know what you're doing. Everyone's there thinking that they probably could die, and then it brings out. It's just everyone's real then. Like it doesn't matter who you are, what you have, how cool you are, whatever it is. Everyone's just fucking people, and you're there. Like everyone's just it makes people down to earth, and that's what I like about it. And the group and doing it with people, it's like everyone's just normal. Like probably doesn't sound normal, but everyone is.
No, it brings you all to the same level.
Yeah, brings
and the
everyone.
things that people that don't do that think that matter.
Yeah, think that matter. If someone's cool on Instagram or something, it's like, who gives a fuck? I could not care one bit. It's like that is the pinnacle of the most realness of life, I feel, at those points in time.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, I remember in the Travis podcast, like years ago, I was like, I should go back and listen to exactly what it is, but I was like, is it that you feel the most alive right before you know you could die?
Yeah, it is.
It's something, and it's got to be something in that. Like it just brings you so
it's an
dead set into the moment.
No word for it, but it makes you. It's just the closest you are to life is when you're doing something, and it's a sickness.
yeah, unwell.
Yeah, it's unwell.
Fuck, that's a heavy one.
It's fun. It's good. I like it. I want to do more stuff in the area. I think my career, what I'd like to see out of the moving forwards, I kind of went into the whole plane building thing. I've always been interested in distance jumping's always been something that has captivated me a little bit. Early in my career, I got a distance ramp and did some bigger jumps. And I see after all the study I've done of aerodynamics, building a plane, I see the distance jumping, like I see the maths behind it, where they're at, why they got to where they are, and how. Because like the distance jumping thing's been at that 350, 400 foot mark for 10, 15 years, and I'd like to redesign a bike to go a long way, I think, is what I'd like to play with. And I kind of went in building a plane with that to understand, because I want to be in the aviation world. So the best way I can build a motorcycle. So I thought building a plane, then you understand how everything works, where it is, why it is, and also to gain the skills and knowledge to try and I'd like to build a bike to make something go. I've started building one to go a long way. That's exciting. A couple of points or reasons if you want the sell. No one else. I'll tell everyone else, and like, you're a fucking idiot.
Nah, give me the sell. That's what we're here for.
So skydive, they're hitting a ramp at 110 miles an hour for the current distance record. So terminal drag goes to the power of a thrust. So you've got to go 9 times faster 3 times faster in a plane. You'd need 27 times the thrust to get there.
Yep.
So like the drag curve, a plane would go, a plane's got a good cruise speed that's matched with that engine, but then to get past that cruise speed, because the shape of it, the drag curve goes
so the faster you go, the more resistance that you're getting by the air.
When you're free falling through the sky, you'll be falling at 120 miles an hour, say roughly, if you're belly flying down at the ground. So then if you're hitting a ramp, say at 110 miles an hour with that drag, if you hit that ramp, you'd have to hit that ramp at 300 miles an hour to go 500 feet instead of 400 feet because of the drag curve and the lift. Like you've got zero lift. So if you put a little bit of lift in and cleaned up the drag, you could go double the distance at less speed. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make
So-
sense. I mean, it's retarded.
Yep.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, the way that it's been, the way that everyone's attacked it, it's like a bigger ramp, faster, going to go further. But it's like the total opposite way. Smaller ramp, clean the bike up, try and get a little bit of lift in it with a small wing set.
Because
and
you've got handlebar, like you've got wings.
Yeah, if you
in the
bark
bars.
busters that are shaped
Like
correctly, hand guards that are shaped correctly with lift. If you can get like a normal GA plane has got a glide ratio of between 10 and 13 to 1. So if you're
Two-stroke.
two-stroke, if you smell that, two-stroke. So if you're 1,000 foot high, you're going to glide 10,000 foot with no engine. A wingsuit's got a 3 to 1. So if you're for every 1,000 foot you are, you can go 3,000 foot out. So if you could get 1 to 1 out of a dirt bike, which is super achievable, you're going to double where you're at. If you're riding along with this, every dirt bike rider's ridden along with a shovel when you're doing the jumps. And if you're riding, you can hold a shovel at full extension in third gear, and that thing's going to hold the complete weight of the shovel. So I'm excited to I've done some wing loading calculations and stuff, or like a little bit of maths with what I do understand about the design, and got a design and a shape to where I can easily get 1 to 1 out of a bike, which would be pretty cool because it'll redefine the what you can do with the motorcycle. Look at the salt flats when they set the land speed records. When they aeroed the bike, like aerodynamically designed the bike, they doubled their speed because they get to a distance where they don't quote me on double, but it went exponentially further because you get to a the drag's incredible.
All right, let's fucking look one of these bad boys up.
So the early days, see, like even that fairing on the front of that gay looking thing
This
there.
one here?
Yeah. That probably got them 20 miles.
So I wonder if they've got like the real modern versions of it. Like,
The modern ones do salt flat world speed record.
Like that looks like an AI.
Are you scared to type into your history and see what pops up on the podcast?
No. This is a work computer, mate.
Yeah,
Salt Flats World. Just as long as
record.
what you're looking for doesn't start with P, we're in business.
Or end in hub, you're fine.
Or we just can't look up hubs.
Yeah, so they're
Oh, I didn't put in bike.
motorcycle, bike.
Oh, look at that thing, trolley.
Yeah. I think they're claiming those things as bikes up there in the top right because they've got 2 wheels still.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sponsored by Parts Unlimited, bro.
Yeah.
It's probably Chad.
But that's that's the
That's the
that's the
concept.
future. That's where distance jumping will go in the future because it's at a limit of where you can't go any further with what you have.
And gas bike.
Yeah,
So you just know
probably a 2-stroke.
probably a 2-stroke,
Yeah.
bit 500 in it or what? You don't need to go that fast.
Yeah, you want reliability. So
YZ.
YZ or a 450.
Did you say YZ or YZ?
YZ.
Yeah, fuck.
YZ to fuck. Who are we?
I've fully confused myself, bro. Like that build with Deegan and then the people in the comments and then the half the time I'm saying it.
Yeah.
It's fucking YZ.
It is definitely a YZ.
And it's a 125.
Yeah, not a 125.
Nah, you just can lick me where I shit.
Yeah,
I'm never changing.
I think that's like what I'm interested in. I think in the future a fair bit because that's I like building things, like working problems out.
Yeah, it's a project. You're
It's
a project. You're a
I'm
project
guy.
Yeah.
And I want to do that and test the waters there.
How do you build safety into it? Is there a way to do it?
There is, and it would be safer too because you're not going as fast and you got a longer trajectory than you do. So I think that if you really wanted to get into it, you could put little flaps and trim things on there. Like my plan is to put a linkage from the brake up to my handguards to control pitch, so you hit the brake and the handguard.
So
I can't
it
tell all the
actually-
secrets. So I'm gonna fly it.
Yeah.
Is the plan. And there will be safety building there, but it'll be gnarly as well. Like it's going to be you flying. There's nothing like flying something for the first time that you build, and I've done that, and it's pretty pretty scary. A lot of shit goes through your brain.
Oh, man, I got a mate at home. Oh, do you know Will Brown?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
so
yeah,
Gus,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
He flies, right?
Yeah, I talked to Will a bit.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So he was supposed to do. We do like the Red Bull podcast for
Yeah.
like the V8 team at home.
Yeah.
And I've just got into the studio and I get a text from the team and they're like, "Hey, Will had to make an emergency landing because he
Yeah.
flies the plane to do the podcast."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "See,
See,
see,
it happens.
that's the fucking reason."
I feel safer in my plane traveling than I do in a car.
I mean, I
Everyone's
get
like,
it.
"Oh,
I
we
get
get
it.
up there in that thing," and then I say, "Well, would you drive around a corner next to a truck that's coming 100 k's at you and think your wheel's not going to fall off?
Bro.
Like your wing's not going to fall off. It's fine. It's just people don't understand because they don't know. If you break everything down and you, like, I know shit happens in aviation and people die and there's plane crashes, but there's people die on the roads too. You die walking your
Probably
dog
20
to the
to
post
1.
office. Yeah,
I always think it's so morbid, but when you're like driving to from the Gold Coast to Newcastle or whatever, and you just get into like the 1-to-1 highways,
yeah,
and there's a trucker, and they just drive past you, and it's like, bro, that's death.
yeah.
Like
You're this
just
far away
inches from death
Yeah.
every single time you pass a vehicle
Yeah.
on the road, and it's just we're just fully down with the risk. We're fine with it.
Yeah, it's because your brain understands that that's the normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's what happens when you're flying. And
Yeah,
you
it
just
is. You
you understand the plane and you understand what's going on.
Yeah, same as a bike. You trust your equipment. You trust that my bike's not going to cut out on the ramp because I know that it's looked after and I've done everything I need to do and the important things are done. Same as a plane. You don't fuck with anything. You make sure that everything's as it should be and it's fine.
Yeah. So, but is there a way like you're just not high enough to deploy a parachute or to have any kind of like, and then you're probably going too fast forward. So I'm thinking safety. Like,
Yeah.
If you're doing the distance thing and like you said, you're jumping something for the first time, because
It's not going to be. I'd not going to be full flying. It'll be a cross between like where it's going to react like a dirt bike.
that's what I
still.
mean. It's still
Yeah.
a bike, and like you'll have a little bit of lift,
Yeah.
but you're not going to be able to be like, nah, fuck abort. Let's keep going.
Yeah. 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 You just got to not fuck up, I guess. Like it's going to be. Yeah. You've got to do the work. This isn't like a tomorrow. This is a year.
This is like a project.
This is a project and a lot of testing before anyone. I'll make sure everything can work before anyone sees anything, or before I commit to before I put all the eggs in that basket and make sure that it still makes sense in my head. But at this point in time, I can see clearly how I envision the thing to work.
Fucking gnarly.
Did you see Kale make him the other day? And he put you would have seen on Instagram. He put a hang glider wing on top of a YZ250
Nah.
and rode that, and the thing got a little bit of did a wheelie, got some lift, and went. Brr.
No
And
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did work, hey?
Yeah, it worked. He flew the thing for a couple 100 feet. It's not what I want to do with I'm a dirt bike rider and I want to make this thing look like a motorcycle, not like a science project. I want to be a motorcycle. It's not going to have the same credibility as a motorcycle world record because it's going to be a different thing. But I feel like the motorcycle world records run out and they're at where they're at because of the physics of.
And you're just risking it at that point, eh?
Yeah, you're pushing
something
beyond
where
the
it's like,
point. You're pushing shit uphill with a pointy stick. You're risking everything everyone has done in the past, and it's been written in blood that it does not work.
Yeah, because there's just physics.
Yep. Yeah, it's just
And physics is pretty well locked in at this point.
Yeah, and everything's physics. Everyone says what you guys do defy gravity and physics, and it's not. Everything is
Nothing defies
nothing
physics.
defies physics. It's basic. It's basic physics.
It's funny when we were talking about school before, like, you're the kind of guy that's quite smart as much as you think you're not. You are quite a smart dude, you know, and it's just, I think you're such a good example. Like, if there's parents that are listening to this with kids that are little assholes at school,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean your kid's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That
you just
means you need to find what your
given
kid's
more
interested
rope.
in.
Yeah.
You know, and like you're the ultimate example of a guy that you'll go to the end of the earth to figure out the thing that you're interested in. And you'll learn physics and you'll learn maths and you'll learn to get what you want, but it's got to be what you want.
I noticed through all my the study for commercial, the aerodynamics, because I was so interested in that. I
Yeah.
read through all the books. I understood everything. Watched YouTube, or didn't read the books, but I understood all of the everything. I just got everything just made sense, and was so excited about all of the how everything worked because you're interested in it, and I can't do anything that I'm not interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're just such a good example of that.
Yeah.
You've taken it to the gnarliest extreme. And I know so many people like
Yeah,
that. I mean,
I feel like I excel in that area more than I do in a. I feel like I would excel trying to figure that problem out more than I have in the best trick. Or best trick, I've been successful and it's been great, but I'm kind of sick of not sick of doing it, and I still enjoy it and thoroughly enjoy competing and all of that. But I feel like there's more out there doing. I'm excited about doing this, playing with it.
What about way down the track when dirt bikes aren't as on the table as they are now? Like, do you have any super long-term kind of visions for what you'll be doing with your time?
I spoke to Deegan about this a bit, and he said, because we've talk a lot on the phone, and we've spoke about over the years about how people finish their career and then they have problems with drinking or drug abuse or something like that. And we've discussed in the past how that's often because people live a high adrenaline lifestyle, and that's where they get their excitement from, is doing these things. And then you see people that go down the wrong path, and it's for that reason, probably from they're not getting the excitement every day.
Well, and probably the attention.
Yeah, probably the attention. If someone's
going for that, because a lot of times people can reach.
they're the guy all of a sudden, and
Yes.
they're not the guy, and then it's hard. But I think as well, you need to get that same. Like, I'll always
Need a
be doing
fix.
aerobatics or base jumping or doing something like that. I'm not gonna. Or riding moto. Brian always says how riding moto is a savior for him. It keeps his head straight. It gives him a good feeling afterwards. He likes getting on the bike, going to the track, and it makes him just be grateful for what he has, and spending time with his kids obviously is a big thing as well. And I think that that's something when you do finish your career, it's important not to just give up on life. Like, you've got to still have fun and enjoy it and do the things you want to do. And I think that that's something that I'll remember. Like, I really want to get into competing in aerobatics and doing that in the plane world.
Yeah, man.
Afterwards,
It'd be so sick to see you
bring
do
a
that.
red dirt bike guy to the sky.
Are you gonna go watch the Red Bull Air Race? Is it the Air Race or the Air Show? There's something on in August in the Gold Coast.
Yeah, that's when I'm flying in.
Oh, you're gonna be flying.
Yeah,
that?
I jumped off a building for the PR for them the other day, but that's the one I'm flying in, that big one. So
Oh, that's the one. I thought it was down in Wagga. I want to go to that because
Yeah, I'll hook
I
it
think Matt Hall is gonna do the podcast.
yeah, sick. I know Matty. He's a good fella.
Yeah, he seems like
Yeah.
a fucking legend.
Yeah, top bloke.
So that
Yeah.
whole world, so the planes that they're in, how different are they to yours? Like, I feel like they're fucking
Mine will
wild.
smoke it.
Really? So yours is
No, mine's Matt's I'm in a experimental category, which is a home built. Matt's got a factory built plane.
Yep.
Which is, but they're 6 for 1, half a dozen the other. Like
so
mine,
very similar.
mine will do unlimited
So
aerobatics.
that's the same. Let's just look it up. What is your plane actually?
It's called a S111, Pitts S111,
Pitts.
Pitts TTS. S1 hyphen 11.
sorry.
But yeah, that's it there.
Which one?
That black and orange one.
This one?
There, yeah, that's an S111.
So this is how do I do this?
I think it is. There's so many different models. It's hard to. Yeah, that looks like one.
Yeah,
There we
right.
go.
Fuck, what a gangster little rig.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Um,
It's like literally you've only got sort of a couple meters either side of you when you look at the wings when you're sitting in there. It's all so small.
that's fucking mental. And they just hook, and just
Yep.
super responsive. Because at that
Yep.
speed, it's
You do
silly,
it'll
but
do that'll do like over 10 G positive negative, same as I haven't done that yet, but it should on paper. It should. It's gonna be when I get back. I've got to get further into the test flying stages. I just put it down when X Games got a month and a half out. That was my cutoff. It was no more planes, just dirt bikes because I've focus issues.
Yeah.
So that was the I just gave myself a cutoff and that was it.
Fuck, that's so cool. But you think about like when it sounds like a silly analogy, but you're just holding your hand out over the window doing 100K.
I'd always do that when I was little, and it's
it's the like the coolest feeling when you're a kid to like learn that, you know.
We were made to fly.
But like you think about going 400 with a real big wing.
Oh, you can't.
Like
you can't. You're like you breathe on the thing, and you've gone a couple 100 foot in the sky.
Really?
The thing, my one will do AJ the same. It'll do like you'll be flying along ground level, and you'll be 3,000 foot vertical straight up. They're insane. So cool. It's like the ultimate. It's beyond of. And when you pull, not many people have been in a aircraft when you like pull a heap of G when you get
and just
G forces.
Washed into
it's
the
such a weird feeling, yeah. And if you go too hard, you'll pass out. Yeah, it's sick. It's a feeling you can't describe of the G forces on your body. It's an odd sensation.
Yeah, no, I bet. And so you've got like the runway on the farm. You just like you can just walk outside and fly your plane.
Yep, walk 100 meters to the hangar, plane out, train.
Did you build the hangar as well?
Yep. Yeah. Well, my friend built it. The first, my good friend that's got the shed company, my first sponsor, he built the hangar. Yeah, I helped him.
What a setup.
Yeah, it's good. I like to. Yeah, I want to get a bit more serious with the flying over the next few years and have a crack at it.
Do you reckon you could do like the air races and stuff like that? Like, would you try and get into that at some point?
Yeah, I'd like to if there was an opportunity to do it. They're in monoplanes, so it's I've got a biplane, 2 wings.
Yep.
And so I'd have to get in a monoplane for it, but I'd love to. I feel like I could have a good crack at it. I've unallegedly got a Red Bull air race course made out of gum trees at home. I'd like to. It's just one of those. Yeah, one of the. It's an expensive thing to, like one of those planes. You're probably looking at a couple $1,000,000 to get into, to have something competitive. So, you'd have to. It'd be a big.
Fucking Monster's got heaps of money though.
Yeah, I'd love to work with Monster on it. I think that Monsters hasn't been in the aviation world too much because they come from a 2 and 4 wheel environment, and I'd like to see, like to do that. But yeah, I don't know. The other thing is too, I kind of love doing it for fun, and not that being a professional dirt bike rider has not made it fun, but. Yep. I don't know if I want to do that or I just.
It's very pure at the moment.
It's very pure and I love it and it's fun and yeah. But if I did do anything, I would be doing it with with Monster for sure. They've obviously been a pillar in my career and yeah.
Fuck, you've lived a cool life, bro.
Yeah, it's been odd, I guess.
You're odd though, in a great way.
Yeah,
you're really good odd.
Yeah, really strange. I don't know. I would. Yeah, if the opportunity arose, I would for sure.
Do you ever think about how wild your life ended up?
Yeah, I guess sometimes. Not really. It feels until I talk about it and then I think, oh, well, that happened, this happened, that happened, and it's don't know. You don't notice when it's your own life, I guess.
Yeah, but it is like gnarly. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I know a lot of crazy people, and you're one of the.
It feels.
You're pretty up there.
It feels pretty normal. Everything. Yeah, just love. I think when you love something and you want to do it, it's just you just find it figures itself out.
Yeah.
Passion. The other day I was thinking like the love and passion start something, and then like I was thinking about dirt bike career that started with the love for dirt bikes and passion, motivation, but then all that shit runs out, and then that's when I guess when it becomes a job that starts to run out, and then you're left with determination and dedication are the two things that keep something going.
Yeah.
And right now, I guess dirt bikes, like I obviously love dirt bikes, but there is times when I ride and I'm like, I don't want to fucking ride. Like I couldn't think of anything worse than going to do a front flip when it's 10 degrees outside, freezing cold, and I've got to go train and every day over and over and get crash but then it's the dedication and determination that makes someone good at something. And I guess right now, the plane's in their love and passion stage and
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know the person that I am, I will push it through to that where we've got to grind and get some shit done. I think eventually
Yeah. In the plane space.
in the plane space. Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah.
It's what it's like. Dedication, determination is not a bad thing. It's still very rewarding.
Yeah,
Like winning a
For a
best
different
trick
way.
gold medal. It's different. It's not a yeah. It's like it's rewarding in the sense of achieving what you want to achieve more than doing it because you love to do it. If that makes sense.
It totally makes sense, man.
Yeah. Same as any supercross racer, anyone else, anyone successful started doing what they wanted to do because they wanted to do it. Anyone in business, any walk of life. And there was a time when they got sick of it, but they didn't give up. They fucking kept grinding. They let the dog out. They let him eat, and they got it done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that you can realize
Same as you. You probably sit here thinking, I don't want to talk to some dickhead for 2 hours, and then you've just got to keep. It's about being successful in what you're doing.
I think that there's like a element of I feel like I'm old enough now and experienced enough to know that it's like compounding that makes things happen.
Yeah.
And it's like doing something over and being consistent. And like Mike Tyson has the best quote. He's just saying discipline is doing something that you hate like you love it.
Yeah, discipline. That's another good word.
And
I had all these words written through my bedroom at home years ago. I got a Sharpie and it was just, I just wrote everything on the wall every night. And the whole thing was just riddled with words that I liked and things to
just to keep that motivation going.
To keep the motivation going, keep discipline going.
Yeah.
And I think that's yeah.
Yeah, and I think at least for me, like I feel like there's a sense of like mastery.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I probably just have some kind of like autism. Where,
Yeah.
where I just
Tism.
I got a sprinkle of the tism.
Yeah. Lucky I don't.
I love to just like lock in and do shit over and over and over because nothing's perfect.
Yep.
And I find a reward in that, and like I get crazy obsessed with shit, and I'll just do it over and over and over and over, like golf.
Yep.
I'll set up a net in the backyard, and I can hit 1,000 golf. And I'm like, I'm never going to be a golfer. I'm not going to play, but I have an idea, and I'm just trying to like see it through, But there's an element of when you're a professional at something where, maybe you don't get the exact same amount of excitement or the same nervousness, or it starts to feel more routine. But I take comfort in like expertise and trying to like become a master at
same as welding. Every single weld you do should be better than the weld that you did before. Every time you're doing something, you've got to be better at it. Always look at that with like every time I do a weld when I'm building something, I'm like, that's got to be better than the last one I did. Otherwise, I shouldn't have done the last one.
So when you won this weekend, like, is the feeling different now to when you were younger, winning X Games Gold Best Trick?
It is and it isn't. Like back then when it was in Staples Center, it was the pinnacle of my career to get to that point and do it. But now it's still just as sweet because I go through so much shit to get there behind the scenes to be there and compete and actually make it to the event is a feat. And to get through it, it's still like very, very sweet. And it's I guess like I don't drink or anything for months out, and I enjoy drinking with my friends. But boys boy. It's just discipline that you have, and it's getting on that bike when it's cold outside and it's windy and it's raining and you don't want to be there. It's about that. I find the more shit you put yourself through, the sweeter something is at the end of it. And I make sure that I put myself through hell, and I do as much training as I can. When I don't want to train, I make sure I do, because that's what you have to. That's what all the other guys. That's what you have to do to get there, and that's what makes it sweet. The juice sweet at the end of it.
Yeah, and it sounds cliche, but it's like the journey is the
Yeah, it is.
All those fucking
what everyone
hallmark
sees
cars.
at X Games is the tip of the iceberg of what's happened for the last couple of months.
Yeah, and I've found, and I wonder if it's the same for you. It's more about relief
Yeah.
when something's over.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily, and I can't
I
speak
can't
to winning
eat
at
or
X
sleep
Games.
for days before.
Really?
Yeah.
So like that?
Yeah. It's like I'm a proper nervous wreck. I know the consequences, and I've seen the consequences. And
You
I know
felt the consequences.
I've felt the consequences. I know how bad it can go, and I know I'm nervous for getting hurt, obviously, but nervous of failure as well for not doing what I came here to do. I've trained for years to make this work, and everything's going to come down to a couple of seconds. So you got to make it work. If it's like, yeah, and I guess now, as I get further in my career, when I was younger, I didn't care about consequences or crashing or anything like that. Like, I didn't really care. I was just about the failure. But now I'm nervous about, obviously, trying to keep it on two wheels.
Do you have a process when you're like sitting there and it's a couple minutes to go and you're sort of just like waiting for your turn?
Yeah, I just relax. Like, I get in that state of mind where I just try and stay calm. I pace around a lot before my event normally, keep moving, and just keep going through my head about the points and marks I've got to hit when I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's about it, I think.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Well, mate, I know you got a flight to get. I'm not
Yeah.
going to keep you too much longer.
Yeah, we could stay for hours.
We fucking did it.
We did it.
Hey?
Finally. It's been a while. I'm stoked to be on here.
Yeah, I'm really glad too. You're one of the, I mean this, you're one of the coolest dudes I know. And you're
you
one
mustn't
of the,
know many dudes.
nah, you're a fucking G, bro. I just know a lot of the, like, I hope people have got a bit of an idea of what you're like behind the scenes now. Like, I think people see, especially if you're like just a freestyle fan,
Yeah.
and you just see you at X Game, like you're this gnarly dude that can fucking, he's won all the best tricks.
I'm
you know?
really just a scared little thing that's trying to do their best.
But you're this gnarly guy that lives in this wild place in the middle of Australia that
Yeah.
flies planes and builds hangars and lives in a shed when he's got a head. Like, you're fucking cool. And I'm glad people,
often
I hope people
sleep
get
out-
to see this.
I often sleep outside when I get home from somewhere in my swag too.
Oh, bro. How fucking good
I bought an
swags.
RV to go around when I sold my house here. I bought an RV to go to events.
That's right. You and
And I
Harry
didn't-
and that did
Yeah,
the
we
trip.
did. And I didn't stay inside the thing once. I bought a swag over as well from Australia. I slept outside every single time. Then I decided to sell the RV because there's no point.
Mate, how good is a swag sleep? Eh?
Swag's so
That's, I feel like that smell.
Yeah, the
makes
smell
me sleep.
and just being just quiet, stars, everything. It's life.
Fucking oath it is.
Fucking oath.
Well, you're the man, mate, and yeah, I got a lot of respect for you. You're a fucking G. So
Thank you.
thanks for coming on. I'm glad we made it happen.
Thanks for having me.
Jacko strong, everyone.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.